Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, Shalom. I want to give a shout out to Sal at the Big Talk for You. What's going on? Hey, the Big Talk for You is where it's at. You know, get your verses straight, put your cell phone record, come on board, present what you got. If anyone try to cut you off, Sal will just mute that guy's mic. You know, he'll let you express what you got. He'll let you present what you studied for. Let the audience decide if what you got, you know, is inside the scriptures. Debate Talk for You. Once again, shout out to Sal. Terrific job. Hey, you can press the number 1 or find yourself on a lion's den.
Yo, what up? It's your boy K for 8, representing East New York, Brooklyn. I'm in the building with my man Sal Showtime. He holding it down with the Debate Talk for You radio. Tune in every Monday through Friday.
What's going on, brothers and sisters? This is Brother Stanley Sylvain of Sin No More Ministries. I'm letting you know that every time I'm not putting together some lessons to bless the people out there, I am definitely listening to Sal Showtime and Debate Talk for You. God bless you all. Peace.
Hey, what's up? This is Uncle E from the Uncle E Show on YouTube. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You radio. Please check in every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call up if you got questions. The number is 319-527-6239.
Got it.
Please press 1 for questions and comments. And also check out my show on YouTube at Renegades TV. Big shout out to my brother, Sal Showtime. Let's get it.
Hi, this is Tyrone Thompson, host of the Blog Talk Radio broadcast Talk Real Solutions. Please tune in and listen to all of our shows 7 nights a week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At Talk Real Solutions, we cover a variety of topics to ensure we speak about what may be needed in our community at any time. Talk Real Solutions is the hottest blog talk radio show going on right now. You can listen to our broadcast at www.blogtalkradio.com/talkrealsolutions or visit our website at www.talkrealsolutions.com. Also like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/talkrealsolutions. You can call in at any time during the show and add to the conversation and offer your solutions at 1-858-357-8453. That's 1-858-357-8453. Because at Talk Real Solutions, we want to make sure you have a chance to talk real solutions.
Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Achad. Shalom, this is Brother Jason of the Hand of Yah Ministries, where the name of Yahuwah is proclaimed. And I want to thank Sal Showtime for allowing the Heavenly Father to use him and his show, Debate Talk for You, as a meeting place for people around the world to hear scriptural truth. If this show has been a blessing in your life as it has been in mine, send a donation to the ministry and support the work. Keep up the good work, Sal, and may Yahuwah bless us all.
Hey, what's going on? This is Felix, also known as Enoch, student at Absolute Bible Truth, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Sal Showtime and Debate Talk for You. I'm a frequent listener, been listening since season 1. Keep doing your thing, and for everybody out there who can hear this, send in your donations so Debate Talk for You could go on for a long time. All right, y'all. Peace.
Greatness attracts greatness. Talk with the Titans host here, Callum L. And you're now locked into Debate Talk for You Radio.
Study to show thyself approved. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 8 of Debate Talk for You Radio, and it is Monday. You know what that means. It's the episode called Under the Palm, Hebrew Ladies Speak. Hebrew women are here. The Hebrew women are here tonight, right here on Debate Talk for You Radio, ready to bring forth that knowledge and information to the masses. So get your pen and pads ready. Get ready to take down some notes. You always know that number, 319-527-6239. Well, let's bring in a host of this particular segment. Mayana, welcome to the show.
Shalom and greetings, everyone. How you doing, Sal? How's the sisters doing? Everybody doing okay this evening?
Yes, we're doing
all right. Yeah, Lala Tov, all who are listening now. As you may have heard, we're going to deal with the instances of how we're conducting ourselves in these public spaces, in the private sphere and in the public sphere, and whether or not there's room to revisit some of the approaches that we have used so far. So just to let everybody know, Hulda will not be able to join us right away. She may join us a bit later, but for personal reasons, she is not available at the moment. Ima Naami is also running a bit late, so we have Ima Yehudi with us, hallelujah, and all of the rest of our amazing sisters. So without further ado, I'm going to share them with you, and we are going to go right into our topic.
All right, so just to let everybody know, I've been informed that there's going to be a time limit when it comes to the dialogue. But what we're going to do is when it gets to 1 minute, it's 5 minutes, right? It's 5 minutes, Mayana? 5 minutes?
Yes, we're going to go back to our original formula where everyone has 5 minutes. I know the topic is exciting. We might get a little zealous as we talk, so we are going back to our original formula and giving everybody 5 minutes, which is great because we can have more rounds that way.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what I'm going to do is when it's like 1 minute left of your time, you're going to hear this sound. So once you hear that sound, it's like 1 minute left. All right, so go ahead, man. You can go ahead and take over. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight's show is Rules of Engagement. Do Israelites need to change their strategies? And so what we're going to look at is the way in which we've been conducting ourselves so far, how we treat one another, and how we are presenting ourselves to the rest of the community outside of Israel, and whether or not some damage has been done, whether or not we are really moving towards our purpose. Are we? And this is a conversation that we have all of the time. And so this is not really something new. Just to go back and check the archives, we have been having these kinds of community conversations. But it's always good to have these moments of reflection and to go back and look at what we have done, what we continue to do, and whether or not it has been working for us. We've had a number of critiques from a number of spaces, some of them valid, some of them a bit pretentious, but whenever there's something that is brought to our attention, it's important to note it, and to, if there's room for improvement, that we are humble enough to say, okay, we don't have all the answers, and maybe we made a few mistakes here or there, or we tighten up in the spaces that need to be tightened up. So basically, tonight's episode is family business. So we of course, welcome and encourage the men to join in, because what's family without our men? And those that want to critique us in secret spaces or without us, please call in, because, in order to have a dialogue, it's a two-party formula. So please, by all means, call in and let your voice be heard. So I'm going to open this up with, as always, we give the elders their due. So I'm going to open the conversation up with Ima Yehudi. Ima Yehudi, have you, in your time in the culture, noticed that there were some ways, perhaps in our evangelical strategies or in the way that we communicate with one another in our personal relationships or in our sibling relationships? Have you seen any place where improvement may be necessary? I would like to hear from you. Tell us what we're getting right and what we're getting wrong in this space.
Well, one, I'll say this. I commend, in all humbleness, with all the sisters on the line, shalom to all the daughters and sisters that's on the line. I love you very much. That's number one. And Brother Sal, I love you too. Anyway, I had to say that because it's important to acknowledge people. And that's another thing too. What I was raised and exposed around, when I say love, just speaking to a person, was one of the greatest respects you can give, and acknowledgement and honor of speaking, of saying hello, how are you, shalom, peace and grace, which we're trying to do, I guess, at this time. That I noticed that some of us, that we're waking up, it appears that we're waking up more than, 30, 40 years ago, and let's just say we're being more vocal, number one. Now, what we're not doing is networking. And I don't mean getting in each other's lives to the point of gossip, but of really assisting. See, back then, we all were struggling. We were on the same level economically. And in my neighborhood, we looked out for one another. Good example, when my aunt, because my aunt helped raise me, wasn't home for whatever reason, it could have been an emergency, the neighbor next door would take me in after school. And I can remember having dinner with this family, the Baker family, or the Davis family. And what I would like the sisters to, and we are nurturing. First of all, we're nurturing human. We're nurturing creatures, as I call it. We're human beings. And maybe we need to start that community. If it's with our children and teaching them and reaching out to them, if it's to go out and help with any establishment organization, help feeding the homeless, giving out blankets, or be around seniors. These are things, and whatever your gift or what you're inspired to do. Now, one thing I will say was more of, which I'm glad to see and hear, more sisters opening their eyes, starting to exert their abilities in a positive way as women. And I commend you sisters for doing that. That's what I see. It's more of you're more aware. I congratulate. Now, that's one thing I see you sisters have changed. Where sisters back then and mothers and daughters wouldn't always openly talk and candid about issues that were important to us sisters, us women of melanin. But what can be improved, even if you feel you're isolated, find some resource, even if it's to volunteer if it's once a month at your child's school if you have small children, or go to the library, or, like I said, donate time, and I'm going to go donate time with an elderly. Whatever your ability and that passion, just like I would plant flowers, wouldn't charge seniors that much when I did their flower bin, you know, and they paid me to, the seniors older than me in the 80s and 90s. Whatever it is, your passion to help to be identified as a set-apart people. And identification just means how you treat yourself first, loving you, and then how you treat others. I'm just simplifying it. Zehu.
So there's so much for that. Thank you for showing, telling us the insight. And yes, I agree that over time the women have become more visible and more vocal and more evolved and more involved and more educated in the spaces that they need to be educated in, and we're able to have conversations, respectful conversations, respectable conversations with one another, especially with the men who at times isn't expecting for us to be able to have rational responses to some of their assertions. Amuna, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in terms of putting out that kind of information. As Imam Naami said, Imam Yehudi has said, women have become more vocal and more active in many different spaces, and we know that you've been out there in the trenches doing the work of the Most High in many different spaces, in many different ways. Can you share with us some of the things that you have been doing and some of the things you have seen, and in what ways do you think we may need to change our strategy, if at all?
All right. Thank you for having me on once again. All praise be to the Most High, the Holy One of creation. I want to say greetings and to everyone who's on the line. Greetings to our hostess, Sister Mayana, and Brother Sal, and all the people that's on the line, all the brothers and sisters that's on the line. For me, this is like a rabbit hole question. Early on, I personally think that the approach can be improved. And I often liken it to calling everyone to a space that has yet to be prepared. Come. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a party. It's going to be hot. You didn't brush your teeth yet. You didn't wash your face yet. You didn't tidy your clothes. You didn't iron them. And you're in the public. You see? And so when I would backtrack to say that when someone awakens from a deep slumber, and when someone realizes that a mass majority of what they've been told is a lie, there's something called shock. This is the phase that often a lot of us not only are in, our brothers and sisters have been stuck in this phase because they're going through a grieving process, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. It's a grieving process to begin to disconnect from everything that you've known, everything that you've been taught, to realize that it's a lie and to step out on faith to a direction that is not necessarily charted. So because it's not charted in today's space and time and you're trying to reconnect with all of these pieces, there's going to be a large margin of error. And this is what we have experienced. We have experienced a zeal without a level of knowledge, without a level of practicality. So in my estimation, the approach needs to be re-examined, because oftentimes we get so excited that we want to connect with those who are going through the same process that we are. And that's a natural occurrence. However, we're not taking the time to get ourselves personally in order. And so for me, this is where, and I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, where we lose the viability of what we're doing, because the growth is not organic, number one, and sustainable, number two. And so, I have dedicated a lot of my time, energy, and effort only to share that which I have done, you see, so that it's more of sharing what I experienced. So when somebody say, oh, Mona, you say, okay, for one thing, for instance, you say, you should do a cleanse, you should do the C3 challenge, because I know that there's a lot of things connected emotionally, spiritually with your diet. And so I understand that. So then I can speak on that, because it's something that I've done. It's something that I continue to do. And so I think if we connect with whatever it is that the Most High has for us to share and actually first take the medicine ourselves, then we will be a collection of people who have actually gone through the process, and it's less selling. At that point, you don't have to sell something that you already vibe. If I have, I don't do iPhones, but say whatever kind of electronics someone likes, and the other person sits next to me and have it, I'm not selling them an iPhone or an electronic because they already have it. Now we're going to talk about what did you like about it, what didn't you like. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is do it. You know what I mean? If you do what you're learning, apply it for you, your household, your family, I think we will yield better results and more lasting results. And as well as concerning what I have done, I've put out, reached out over the years to other people. Mayana is one of the sisters who, we do a lot of work together. Before that time, it's just reaching out. You can find all of the older information where it's just, hey, my thing is about soul development and elevation. Even when you return to knowing who you are, there's a level of why did our forefathers still fail? And I'll leave it there as we come back to another session. But just knowing who you are isn't enough. There's another level. The child just gave me that I knew it, so I'm going to just go ahead and out on that one.
Whoa.
Well, thank you so much for that, because you brought a lot of amazing points, all of which I hope that we have more time to expound on. I heard you say that there's a lot of practicalities that are being overlooked, in the way that I know in our conversations that very often the law is looked at as burdensome instead of practical, and so a lot of its use gets put to the side because it feels as if it's antiquated, it's old, it's outdated, and so we want the new and the shiny, and we're so disconnected from, like you said, the practicality of our instruction that we are losing its value in modernity. So, and then all of the other important points that you made. So I hope that we'll be able to get back to a lot of those. Malakah, you're there now?
I'm here.
Hallelujah. Welcome, sis. So, as you know, our conversation tonight is about the rules of engagement. Do Israelites need to change their strategy? So before we get to the phone lines, I'm going to go and talk to all of you, give you a chance to talk to the audience, and give your thoughts on these rules of engagement. Are we engaging each other? Are we engaging the other in ways that need improvement? And if so, how?
Wow, there is so much that can be said about this topic. So I'm gonna just start by saying that things I noticed is that people would Google. They go, instead of listening to what I was saying about what I was experiencing, they would actually just get online and Google. Most of the time they would Google Hebrew Israelite. And when they would do that, they would then come back to me with a report on all the various things they saw that were negative, in their opinions, under those words, Hebrew Israelite. And then I would be put in a position of trying to defend my decision and my choices based on what they were seeing on the Internet. And so over time, what I came to realize was that, there is always, my grandmother used to say, if you don't write your own story, you'll become a character in somebody else's. And what I'm seeing is that there's a narrative that's being pushed in mainstream about who we are as a people, what we do, how we live, how we interact with one another. And as we all know, we're complex people because we're human beings first. We're a nation, or we are a nation within a nation, and we're just waking up, many of us. And so there's layers of who we are. But there's this narrative that's being painted that is very one-dimensional. And so when you hear the word Hebrew Israelite, there's just immediately a picture of various types of camps or groups that are out there and what they're doing. And so what I want to say to that is I feel as though the narrative that's being pushed internally is that what we're about is black empowerment only, and what we're about is male empowerment only, and what we're about is hatred. And I think there are some things that we've done internally that have aided and assist pushing that narrative that the mainstream would like to push about us. We've helped put that out there. And so we've got to look at ways that we can take over the narrative. And I'm thinking about a scripture in Matthew, the 5th chapter, where it says, let your good works shine. I'm paraphrasing it, but it basically says, shine, let your good works shine before men that they may glorify your Father in the Shamayim. So I think we need to start looking at really embracing the spirituality of this walk and let that manifest in the work. I like the word that Imuna uses, organic. If we're really coming into this walk and information that is taking place on the inside of me, then I should be able to go through a process that then is going to manifest in good work. So me standing someplace and kind of confronting people, that's like trying to take the easy way out of the shortcut. That's kind of like a cheap version of what we really are supposed to be doing. What we're supposed to be doing is becoming the light so that men can see the light and be drawn to it, instead of taking a big searchlight and shining it in people's faces so their eyes can't see their eyes are blinded by what we're doing. We need to actually become light so that as we walk the streets and as we go doing our daily business and stuff, people notice us, notice something different about us, different about our families, the way we comport ourselves, and they want to be a part. We should be building the things that we know how to build and being part of communities where we're being seen for what we're building. And with that, I'll just go ahead and yield.
Wow, great point. That's a great point. Sister O is for only love. We heard our sister Malakah point out that very often people just kind of Google us, and irrespective of what we have to say or what we have to share, a lot of that gets ignored in favor of just kind of keywording certain things. Have you found that this is the case, and usually with very negative results? Do you find that the people that are most visible in these social media spaces do not represent authentic Israelites or the culture?
So shalom everyone. My name is Only Love Chica from Prophetic Whirlwind, and very blessed to be with everyone today. Want to give honor to our elder who is with us and thank Sal and Mayana for putting on the show. I think growing up in Brooklyn, I was aware of Hebrews. They used to preach in front of my father's job downtown Brooklyn. And unfortunately, my father told me a few years ago, him and his 5%er friends were even intimidated by what they saw. And these are 5%ers. And my father said, I agreed with what they were saying, but it was the negativity. So that really should put things into perspective. And I just think how my family would have been different had my father not been put off. When we talk about the rules of engagement, my question is, one, are we engaging? It's sad that when you Google, you will see a lot of terrible stuff about Hebrews, but online is only a portion of what we are and what I would later come to see. Also, those who stand on the streets, and there is a time to, minister on the streets, but those who are negative on the streets are only a portion. And unfortunately, we can have cults in Christianity and Islam and Buddhism. I watch the Scientology reality show every week, and they are just over the top. But unfortunately, because we're asserting that Black people are the chosen, and that we are judged more harshly. And we know that reality. We know we live in a white supremacist society. So I was reminded of a scripture from 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 15, that says, if you suffer, it should not be as a murderer or a thief or any other kind of criminal or even as a meddler. However, if you suffer as a follower of Messiah, do not be ashamed, but praise Yah that you bear that name. And it's two sides to the coin. On one side, we're being wrongly judged. And, of course, we're angry. We're going through mourning, denial. There's a lot of emotions when you find out the truth. But on the other hand, we are being judged because there are people within our ranks who are doing these things, murdering, theft, criminals, even just meddling in other people's relationships and being very judgmental. And we have to be honest about that because we can't engage with what we're doing right now. One, I don't think most of Israel is engaging. There are actually a lot of positive Hebrews, a lot of professional Hebrews, a lot of positive assemblies that are not tied to camps, like the assembly I attend that's 65 years old. But even us, we had to really challenge ourselves. Are we engaging the wider community? Why don't more people know about us? So the rules of engagement, I think we have to expand what engagement means for a Hebrew, where people don't only think is yelling at people on the street, but they see writing like that some of the sisters on this call do, or documentary like my friend at Hebrews to Negroes. There's so many different ways to engage. One is, are we sharing the truth with our friends and family who have known us for years, or are we just pushing them away because they don't believe like us? I think engagement really starts at home. So those are my thoughts for now.
Absolutely. I can 100% agree. As you are saying, and as Amuna said, all of this begins at home, and it begins with our families, and it begins with us. And once we have dealt with our own injuries and we have actually put into practice all of the things that we are learning, then less of this performance of being an Israelite will become necessary. Less of the shouting, less of the aggression, and there's too much of that going on. As you said, to call it engagement, a lot of this feels combative. And so the critique in that space that there's a sort of a reflexive defensiveness coming towards us from the outside. Some of it we have earned. Some of it we've earned. Sister
Liana, can you put me back after her? Can you put me back in rotation since I didn't get my full 5 minutes? I had an idea, but go ahead with.
And this is Zima Naami. I finally joined you. Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Please put me in this rotation after Yehudi. Hold up.
No problem, Ima. I knew that you were there. I had you listed. Don't worry, I got you. We'll go back to the emails right after we hear from Sister Shanti. Sister, you've heard so many of us already weigh in and kind of pinpoint some of the injury, some of the spaces where we are not only injured but are injuring others, and in the many ways in which we are presenting and representing information and ourselves and our culture to the people, to the public, and even to each other. So what are your thoughts on that? But again, I'm not asking you not to introduce yourself. Let people know who you are, what you're about, and then weigh in on today's topic.
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, Debate Talk for You. Thank you all once again for joining Under the Palm. Thank you, Sal. Shalom, and I love you to all the beautiful women and daughters of Zion here. This is Ashanti. I'm out of Sacramento, California. I don't think I say that much, but my thoughts. I'll keep it brief for the intro. The rules of engagement. Do we need to change our strategy? I like to preface it by saying, you know how, I used to play basketball, and a lot of sports people, whether you play basketball, football, soccer, you go in and you watch your videotape of your opponent, okay? And the thing is, you watch their strategy and you watch how you need to counter. You watch how you need to counter. So with the strategy they have, you always need to counter. And this is what I also say. I have changed my strategy in showing who I am, not just talking it, but showing who I am as an Israelite. I actually listen to people, or before I engage in a conversation with me speaking to them, I actually listen to hear where they're at. I listen to them to get their perspective. I listen to them to get their heart and sincerity. And that lets me know where they're at, and that lets me know how much information I need to give to them, or that lets me know if I need to give any information to them. I would like to say a verse. Sister Only Love alluded to this. This is Proverbs chapter 26, verse 17. Scripture ISR. A passerby meddling in a strife not his own is like one who takes hold of a dog by the ears. So if we have internal issues here, and we do, we will need to take care of that on our own. The approach. We don't want to come with the same approach as our enemies, because a house divided against itself cannot stand. So we want to make sure we check out people's spirits before we engage in them. Their energy, their perspective. So yes, I have definitely changed my strategy. I have listened to my opponent, or I have listened to anyone who is unknowing about us as Israelites, because like me, I came out of the church, and I get this from my family all the time, and I'll close with this. I get this from my blood relatives, my extended family now. They always say, "Oh, Shanti, this is how you was raised." And pretty much sometimes what people know is all they know because that's all they want to know. So we have to gauge people in their intent. Do they know? Do they not know because they just don't know, or do they not know because they don't want to know? And if they don't want to know, I gauge them as such. I kind of back away, shy away. So that's that. I'll have more to say, of course, during the course of the discussion. But I'm interested in hearing all of the latest perspectives. And shalom, shalom, everyone out there. May you be edified, and may our solutions be brought to the table and be applied accordingly. I'll relinquish the mic.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. We do have to be very mindful about who is coming against us in order for us to properly prepare. Although there is room for introspection, we do have to be ever vigilant against those that would come against us and are not critiquing us for any reason of helping or creating bridges or whatever their stated intent may be. And so to properly inquire, to diligently inquire, that's wisdom, that's Torah. And so we must continue to walk according to the wisdoms of our elders. Speaking of elders, Ima Yehudi, you wanted to complete your time, so we're going to pick up at the 2-minute mark and let you add that final thought.
Okay. I was listening to the sisters talking about strategies and the pushback that we get, not only from our own people, family members, as well as our own people. But it's something Imuna said a year ago when we were talking about the young men that are on the corners and preaching and how they use vulgarity and different words, and how she approached one young man. She used her strategy of approaching him in such a way that he wasn't combative, and they had a decent conversation. And that's one of the solutions of it. We, instead of being combative, argumentative, when we hear the words of hateful words, I use my strategy of stepping back, and I always say that find something positive. I find something that's good in that person, and to approach him in that way, not of yelling, not of hollering. And I find that person calms down, relax, and I get to find out why he or she feels the way he or she does. How can we meet our minds? How can we mend that bridge of communication between us? And like another sister said, even when we're in these assemblies or Knesset, how do we get outside of that to help other people and let people know who we are? Because we're always fighting, seem like, to get these other entities when these people get out there. And like you said, you look up on Google, there's a lot of negative things about us. And like she said, because, no, we're coming out saying, oh, now we're the people of the book, understanding our living conditions in terms of in this United States and elsewhere, we're going to get this pushback. It never said it was going to be easy. Strategies that have to work for us. But at the same time, remember that to try to carry on those strategies if it's working, because you're going to be that example to people. People are going to look at you and inquire. Cain.
Thank you. That's the wisdom of the elders right there, absolutely. And the approach that you described that Amuna has used is quite effective. And I have found that when we fall back and kind of maybe ask more questions rather than give more answers, we tend to be able to get to the heart of the matter. Instead of everybody assuming the thoughts of the other person, no real dialogue happens when that is the approach. So, those were a lot of great words. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Ima Naami, thank you for Ima Naami, thank you for joining us. How have you been?
Oh, I've been fine. How about you? Is everything well?
Everything is well. Thank you for asking, Ima. Ima, so please weigh in. Today's topic is about the rules of engagement. Mm-hmm. And do we need to change our strategies?
Certainly. I would certainly agree that we do. One of the questions that I found that was very hard for me to answer is whenever a new person wanted to know about this way of life, or where did they go? Not necessarily know about this way of life, but where did they go? I found that I was at a loss as to tell them exactly where. And then in the places that I could name, I always had to put a little caveat there to tell them what the place was about, or, what their stance was and that kind of thing. I've always thought that the best way to have people want to know about what you're doing is by living it yourself. If you're living your life as an Israelite and trying to do those things that are right, and your manner is one that seems to be pleasant to people, that seems to be the most that seems to be the most attraction that you can put on it. Quite naturally, there are going to be times. I think some of us need to learn the art of debating, including myself. It's very human or very normal to become impassioned about something that you feel strongly about. But there is a way to debate, too, and there's a way to get across your point and be truthful without being combative, or without being overly combative, I should say. And I don't think that we've learned that yet. I think that those who go out there, the image that you have, as you say, and it rightfully said, that when you Google us, we're described as everything from soup to nuts, including a cult and what have you. And that's not the image that we want to project. So I think that the best way that you can project what it is, or the best way that you can engage people is by having a pleasant manner. Now, I do understand that all of us, there are times that I just blast people out, too, because it's called for. But I'm saying,
right.
Yeah, I'm saying that still, the approach, your initial approach shouldn't be one that you're going to war with the people. That shouldn't be your approach. And like I said, a lot of us have to learn, including myself, because I'm learning it as I engage more with people in my community. I'm engaged in my community. I'm with my community board. I'm with the school board. I'm with this and that and the other thing, and I'm engaged in a lot of things, particularly since I've been retired. But I found that I've had to learn how to temper what I say. I've had to learn how to hold my peace and write down things that I wanted to say, or put them in some sort of order so it doesn't come out as a jumbled mess, or it doesn't come out as I'm screaming and hollering, that kind of thing. So I do think that we need that, and I love the way that even I watch Imuna on some of the YouTubes and some of the other people on YouTubes, by the way, and they handle themselves so nicely, even though you had people who were screaming and hollering and coming up against them. You know what I mean? That is really an art that I think that we need to develop. With all that, I say again, shalom to everyone on the line. May the Most High be with you. Hope all of you are well and that your families are well. Zehu.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, and thank you for all of that. I think that right now we have many people in the listening audience scratching their heads saying, that's a lot of kumbaya. We can't do that. This is not peacetime. This is time for war. And all of those flowers and sweet words, there's a season for everything. This may not be the season. So, now, again, as you said, we have, Amuna and I and the other sisters on the panel have come up against some very let's say impassioned people, brothers, sisters, and the others, people from other communities that choose to engage us, and they come very excited, very energetic in their position, and so there are times when we have to set boundaries, have limitations, and yes, we try to maintain our civility and our integrity. But we're going to open it up to the phone lines. As I said, I'm sure there are many people out there that want to say one or two, maybe three or four things to us. So, Sal, let us hear from the first caller, please.
Yeah, may I just add that there are many strategies to war. It's not always the direct confrontation, the direct line. I just wanted to say that. Say who?
That's right. Correct, Ima. So who do we have on the line?
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to 267-283. You're live on the air.
Shalom, shalom, and Lila Tov to the Emote Nakio. This is Bashua. How's everyone doing?
Lila Tov, sis. We're doing well. I'm doing well.
That's
shalom,
good. Shalom, shalom, Ima. Again, shalom, shalom. Once again, excellent conversation. And it's interesting because we do need to change our strategy as a people, because it is up to us to teach the nations. When the Most High chose Israel as his people, he chose us to have all the knowledge of the law, statutes, and commandments and get it into us. And then we're responsible for teaching the Gentile nations. And unfortunately, a lot of the camps and a lot of these rah-rah extremists, they don't see that. They just see some type of extreme supremacist doctrine where, only a few people are in, everybody's out because of, the white man did this to us, so they're out, they can't be saved. And we know that's farthest from the truth. While we are the people, and there's no doubt that we're the people, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we have the Torah in us so that we could teach it to the nations. I believe it's Zechariah or Zechariah 8:23, where it mentions about 10 men taking hold of a Yahudi and mentioning how that person knows the ways of Elohim and to teach us the way of Elohim. And so it's up to be that example. And unfortunately, a lot of the camps are a bad example. And that's why anytime you Google Hebrew Israelites, it's always negative. That's why you have certain groups here on YouTube, and they know who they are, and I'm going to keep them nameless. I don't know if they're listening to this, but you have certain groups that come against us, and they go on hangouts, and they just speak the most egregious things about all Hebrews, whether they're One West camps or whether the ones that aren't a part of a One West camp that they like to call moderates, as if this is politics. And so it's up to us to be that example, so that the nations couldn't come back to Torah, because I believe in Koheleth or Ecclesiastes 12:13 says the whole duty of man is to keep the commandments. How are the nations going to keep the commandments if they don't know them and they don't have people to teach them? And that's what the Most High has chosen us as Israel to do.
Hallelujah. Is there anyone on the panel that would like to speak to what the caller has shared? I 100% agree. Right now we have the more vocal and the more visible, not exactly being the most accurate representation of the culture, and then we have all of these groups that are coming with quite a bit of hubris in the way that they are addressing us and speaking to us, and so I think that all of us are saying, to some degree, we've earned that, but to other degrees, there's just a bit of there's a lane, and some people should find it. But is there anybody else on the line that would like to respond to this caller? Otherwise, we'll go to the next caller.
Oh, and one other thing I might want to add. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Right ahead.
Just one last thing I wanted to add is that, and my Ish and I talk about this a lot, especially when dealing with certain groups. The camps are the smallest portion of people who are in this walk, but unfortunately they're the most vocal. And no matter how many times I have shared this with people, it seems like they still don't get it because they are still fixated on the camps. And that gets frustrating, but, we have to stick to our gentle guns, if you will, and just continue to keep Torah and show that that our goal is to keep Torah and to be an example of Torah.
Okay. Ima, did you want to add to that before we go to the next caller?
I just wanted to say that I certainly agree with her. Her strategy is just perfect as far as I'm concerned. I do realize that we do have these groups that come against us, but there's a way to deal with them too. The thing about truth is that it will always be truth. I don't care how you go around it. I don't care how you plaster it around. It's always going to be truth. And eventually, the truth will win out. Now, I know that it can get frustrating because I know I've been around some people. I've been in this way a long time, and I've been around some people that you just want to shoot them sometimes, But the point is that if you're consistent with what you're doing, and you continue to try to exemplify truth and right, believe me, eventually you'll win out. Not necessarily you, but you're glorifying the Most High will win out. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Shal, do we have anyone else on the line?
All right, let's go to the next caller. Before we do that, though, we got one more callers calling into the show. We appreciate the family out there tuning into the show and sharing it on their social media pages. If you didn't know, today's show is entitled Rules of Engagement. Do Israelites need to change their strategy? The number is 319-527-6239. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to 530-434. You're live in air.
Greetings and much love to the panel. This is Brother B.A. out of Sacramento, California.
Welcome.
And, shalom. And I would say me, as a brother in the Israelite community, I tend to notice that we have to be very careful how we conduct ourselves. Because when we call ourselves by the name of Israel, we're saying a whole lot. That's also calling us by the name of the Most High. That's His name. That's His stamp of approval. We're saying that we belong to Him. And a lot of us, man, and even me, I'm guilty of this. We tend to boast. We tend to want to fight all the time and be combative. And not all of us, but it tends to be common amongst those who are always on social media posting and doing whatever it may be and always trying to get their name known. And I have no issue with individuals going back and forth and discussing doctrine or dialogue. But we have to remember it's our conduct and then it's the battles with the other individuals or other doctrines, whether they be apologists or whatever they call themselves now. It's just that we're some of the Hebrew brothers. Some of us, what we're doing is we're so in tune with this doctrine and just swinging the sword that we got to remember people are watching us. It's not just Christians watching us. It's not just other Hebrews watching us. It's people who are unbelievers who want to come into this and who want to see why is it that these people are acting the way they're acting? Why do they believe in this God so much? What is it? And I know people who have told me, like, a lot of that just sounds too much. It's confusing because you guys are always fighting and always arguing and going back and forth over the same book. I mean, what's the problem? And that's the problem. We're sitting up here arguing, having dead issues over things that a lot of these arguments are just way beyond, so they're not even worth discussing. So the thing is that we're having way too many issues, and we're doing more damage than good. We are pushing people away because we're finding issues to nitpick and fight all the time. So when it comes to the issues we're having now with the different doctrines that's coming against us or the different belief sets that's coming against us, some of us just need to sit back and just play our position and not even engage. Certain people should be able to engage. Not everybody should engage. There's just certain brothers and certain sisters who should be able to, who should have the skills to engage. And then there should be some times to where some of these topics shouldn't even be debated. I get tired, and I got love for Sal. Sal, no, that's my brother, and I love him. And nothing against his platform. But when I hear these different debates about who Israel is or who Israel isn't, it's getting to a point to where those debates are getting done. They're getting tiring. Like, okay, we understand we Israel. We don't have to keep hearing the same thing about us being Israel. We're chosen. What are we supposed to do? Let's start talking about the action and the conduct of being Israel instead of always arguing about the slave trade. We know we come off them ships. We don't need to beat it down someone's throat who don't believe it. It's time to start conducting ourselves as Israel and getting to the point and getting back on track with the Most High put us here for, to be a light to the nations. And I yield.
Brother, I heard some really great things. There's some very powerful statements there. Are we giving too much attention to the opposition? I was going to say adversary. I'm going to choose not to be quite so provocative. But are we giving too much time to the opposing side, too much time to those that are already determined, have already made up their mind, and have an agenda of their own? I think that's an excellent question. But I think we have one more caller or a couple more callers, and let's go ahead and talk to them. At the end of those calls, we'll come back around and talk to the panelists, get some more insight from the imams and the sisters.
Let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 215-827. You're live on air. 215.
Hey, shalom. Shalom, everybody. Doing? I see how you doing?
Shalom.
Hey, shalom. How you doing? The last brother had an excellent point. I mean, it's dealing with this. You have to have a lot in your repertoire when it comes to approaching this subject, because it's like a mission of, all right, each individual you come across, whether you come across them for the first time or whether you've seen them around or probably know them well, whatever that circumstance is, it's like whatever time you have to discuss this Torah and their obligation of following the laws and not transgressing the Creator, your approach, you kind of have to start there, because there's no easy way to say it, and plus all the information in the book with the Creator instructing all the prophets on how to deal with us in the past. The Creators use the word treachery, the most treacherous, wicked, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So after you finish reading the Torah, you ask yourself, like, man, are our people really that bad? Did the Creator exaggerate on how treacherous and evil our people are and our willingness to do wickedness? Okay, so then you got to ask yourself, is that accurate? Is that true? Now we see that it is. The problem is you have people, like the sister said, got their mind made up, and some already realize that they're doing wrong based on what they read, because you have some very learned people, they know how to read comprehension is on a high level, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they, in spite of what they read, they've still chosen, like all the others in the past, to disregard the laws, disregard the Creator, continue to offend the Creator, and it's your job, or shall I say our job, a very dirty job when you look at what we're up against, to try to do. So you're dealing with a treacherous people, like the Creator said. So you really, really have to be creative in your conversation and your approach, and also time-wise. You have to factor all that in when you're trying to get the message across. And the best way, I'll close with this, the best way with my methodology is the very learned, those that already know better. I always hit them with low blows every time, because I get straight to the point that they know they're transgressing the Creator. They know they're transgressing the Creator. They know it. It's not like they don't know it, they're not sure. they're absolutely clear. So you knock them over the head and bust them. You bust them to the head to the white meat every time. Every time. Now those that don't know, you kind of gotta first let them know that listen, every day that goes by and every second, my first obligation is to let you know that you're transgressing the Creator. Is how important is that to you? Okay, how important is that? Because basically, you have to let them know that they're going to be held accountable. And you're not telling them to scare them. It's the God honest truth, and the Creator's watching you. Like you better make sure you let them know. If sparing their feelings is more important, okay. Always remember this: if sparing somebody's feelings is more important than giving the raw truth of the Creator to let them know that they transgress the Creator, then you're in trouble. Well, I'll stop right there.
Kane, thank you for that. It looks like we have a lot of people very interested in this topic. If you're just joining us, today's topic is rules of engagement. Should we, as Israelites, rethink our strategies? Sal, could you open up the phone line? Let's talk to the next caller.
All right, we have another caller standing by. Let's go to that person. Let's go to 813-316. You're live on the air.
Shalom, everyone. How y'all doing?
Shalom. That sounds like Deborah.
Yeah, that's me.
Shalom. Shalom, sis.
Shalom. I'm listening to the conversation on the topic, and everybody said a lot of good things. To say my little piece, a sister said the truth speaks for itself. That's a given. And I think when we're teaching someone and it becomes combative and it's an argument, there's a lot of ego involved. Because when I learned the truth and heard the truth, nobody had to yell at me, ram it down my throat. I accepted the truth for what it was, and he that has an ear, let him hear. If a person is not listening or not responding, it's not for any one of us to beat it in their head. They're either going to receive it or not receive it. Everybody can't be saved. And for those that have a zeal for the Most High and are interested in serving the Most High, they're going to do whatever it is the Most High set forth for them to do. And if they don't, what is the argument for? You're not going to win souls by arguing. You're not going to be first of all, when you're talking negative and loud and obnoxious, the person on the receiving end is not even listening. You're more defending yourself than actually listening to what a person is saying. And when we rep the Most High, it's a character. It's how we move. It's how we speak. It's like if the Most High not beating it down on us, who are we to be beating it down on anyone else? Sometimes you might be able to tell somebody the truth, and if they don't receive it, they might receive it just by how you move and how you act and how you speak. Like, something with this person is different.
That's
and
right.
Everybody comes from different walks of life, different understanding, different beliefs. So I used to ask my grandmother this question. She's a Christian, went from Catholic to Christian. I was raised Christian in the daggone church every day of the week. But I say this to say, I ask her all the time because she used to compare herself to the Muslims or any other religion. And I was to ask her, I said, Grandma, let me ask you a question. Who loves God more? And that question's so real. Like, who loves God more? You because you're Israelite and and you have the knowledge, or a Christian, a so-called Christian, who doesn't have all the knowledge that you have, but their zeal is different. So it's like, if we all here because we love the Most High, just because you might not have the same understanding that I have doesn't mean that make you better. Just because you're an Israelite and you know who you are. I'm an Israelite, but what makes us better than anyone else, especially when you're not moving the way you should be moving? I'm just listening to everything that everybody's saying, and it just sounds like, what's the argument for? And this is nothing new for me. I was one of the sisters on Flatbush from the brothers from 125th, and we had a Flatbush camp. And we was warriors for the Most High. If you're not with Christ, off with your head type mentality. But who knows if you're going to make it? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes life shake us and put us in different things, and you find yourself in a predicament you never thought you was going to be in. So it doesn't matter. Like the Holy Spirit revealed to me the other day, the understanding, the key to love and the key to forgiveness is understanding. Just understanding that this person might not be where you're at. So it's like everything should be done with understanding. That's all I gotta say.
Total for calling in, Deborah. Thank you so much for that. All of our callers are having such great insight. We really appreciate you calling in. I think we have another caller on standby. If you're out there and you're from one of these camps and you're out there doing the work, you're on the highways and the byways, and you feel like some of this critique is a little misplaced, we're not really giving you the respect that's due you. I hear very often it's like, well, we're out there putting ourselves out there. Why are you guys coming down on us? Why are you getting upset with us? We're putting in the work. We're soldiering for the people. So if you're out there, you're hearing these criticisms, and you feel like there's another side to the story, please call in. You know that number is 319-527-6239, and press 1 so your voice can be heard. Next caller, what are your thoughts?
All right, let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 305-401. You're live in the air. 305-401. Can you hear me?
Shalom. Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Greetings, everyone, all my family, those that I know and don't know. All of us are the Most High's children, giving thanks and praises to hearing your voices this evening. And I just want to comment a little bit on what's being talked about tonight. I want to give thanks to the Most High. He lives, and we are living in his prophecies are being fulfilled. And, I've been in this way of life for almost 60 years. And my mother, my children, my grandchildren, I've got generations behind me coming up in this time. We are living in the times that our forefathers were told about. And us here in this country, in the United States, I have to say, Toraya, all my blessings. You live, O Most High, and allow me to see what is happening in this time when knowledge is running rampant. A lot is going on globally around the world. We are around the world, and people are recognizing and telling the truth about who we are. Now we're waking up from the valley of the dry bones. And in this time, we got a lot on our plate because as we see, it's escalating. It is escalating. Time is of the essence. Most importantly, we're all accountable for our own souls. I can't save anyone but myself. I can't save my children. I can't save my grandchildren. I can let them know the knowledge and give them the choice. And that's my job, is to let them know that there is a creator and you are accountable. The Most High is watching all of us, and we're coming in a time of judgment. So we need to be on our P's and Q's. We need to understand that this is a global effect. We live in a country where we have everything that we need. There is no excuse for us. And we have to recognize, yes, our history has left on record that if we're not about raising each other up, looking out for the poor, the needy, the homeless, the fatherless, the motherless, the widows, and doing what we need to do, then we're not doing what he needs us to do, which, as the brother said before me, we are to be a light to the nations, but most importantly, to ourselves also. And everything that we do reflects him. Now, you wouldn't know that I was an Israelite unless I told you. I live in Florida. I meet people on a global scale. When I go to work, I dress like I need to dress. I don't wear culture all the time, but I'm going to tell you one thing. If you look at me closely, you're going to see some Ghetto-leaves. Okay, that's the law. I put Ghetto-leaves on my clothes. I never know who's coming in there and checking out. And yes, the Most High is keeping eyes on all of us. What you say, what you do, what you think, how you act. And it is not an easy process. But we have children coming right behind us. We need to deal economically. We're not using our resources. We're not thinking big. We don't believe that we can do what we need to do. And I know that we can. The Most High here put us here for a reason. So let's get busy. Strategy is very important. That's why I came on this call. Because it says in the Proverbs, strategy is success for any nation. You have to work with stratagem. So let's get our plans together. This food is killing us. You know, we constantly supporting everybody else. Everybody else is getting our money. It's a problem. So we have to change. We have to think differently. And it takes at least a dozen of us to pull something off. Okay? I know we can grow our own food. There is no excuse for us. So I'm saying let's be humble, but let's be wise. Use the wisdom and all the lessons that we have had before us. What makes a nation? Your language, your culture, your history, all of this is part of us. So this is what we need to work on within ourselves. And it says 1 from a city and 2 from a family. So it's only going to be a remnant. I'm going to just let you all know I plan to be in that remnant. I want to see you guys in the end. May the Most High bless and keep you all. I love you and you're always in my prayers. Most High bless. Yakai.
We love you too, Ima. Thank you for calling.
All right, let's go to the next caller. I believe it's a Skype caller. Somebody calls from Skype. You're live in the air.
Shalom.
Shalom. Welcome.
Yeah, greetings to everyone. My name is Richmond Osei, and I'm calling from Ghana, Kumasi. Just want to share my opinion. Can you hear me?
Yeah, shalom. We hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. All that I want to say is we need to take ownership over our attitude, and we need to replace the word failing with the word learning to our strategy. I used to support an orphans, and there's a whole lot.
Did we lose the feed?
Yeah, it's still on the air. You're still there. We can't hear you, though. Hello? Yeah, you probably lost him. Yeah, his call just dropped. That's our
brother from Brother Richmond calling all the way from Ghana. This time he actually got through for a couple of minutes. Later on in the show, if we don't have enough time to do it while we're live, you would definitely get to hear a recorded thought that he sent to us at the end of the show. Only Love will give us a quick kind of insight and intro to that clip. So it was great that we were able to hear, even if just a few seconds of what that brother had to say all the way from Ghana. So if we don't have any more callers, we're going to go back to the panel. So we're good on the calls?
Yeah, there's no more callers at this time. I'll let you know. Okay.
Thank you so much. So, ladies, we've heard so much from each other and from our callers. I have a few thoughts. I'm sure you have some too, so I'll hold off on mine. I'm going to write them down on my little pink pad over here and yield the floor to you all. I'm going to go in reverse order this time because Shanti always goes last. So I'm going to go to Shanti first. Shanti, what are your thoughts on what you heard so far?
Praise be to the Most High. I got a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to be quick with them. My brother VA, that's my brother. He's a close brother here to me in Sacramento, up in Marysville. But he made a great point in that when we're getting engaged with anybody who doesn't understand us, we're getting pricked. They're getting to our feelings, and my thing is why are we getting offended by what other people think about us and what we call ourselves? You know what I mean? Like, we get so hung up on titles. It's kind of crazy. I don't think we should get hung up on titles. We have, I think it was Amuna, or maybe you, I forget, Sister Mayana, but it's like if the Most High gives us authority to call ourselves anything we want to, why are we getting offended when the next man or next person say we can't call ourselves by these titles? Like, we shouldn't get hung up on titles. But I got, you know, like everyone says we should get some strategies, but I got some ideas on some strategies with scripture. It says the wicked flee, don't no one pursue. Proverbs 28. When you stand still and know that the Father is God, you got to know, you know, your word for yourself. You know what I mean? And then also know the word for yourself, but that means know the word and also apply the word. You know what I mean? You take a step back on Wusa, and you say, okay, let me go ahead and handle this. But that's when the fruits of the Spirit are going to come out, and you're gonna handle it the way you need to. Hold up a mirror to these people. What is it? James chapter 1, verse 22 and 23 says, and become doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in a mirror, for he looks at himself and goes away and immediately forgets what he was like. Hold up a mirror to these people and remind them what they look like. I always like to say, you know, a lot of people who are our opponents are believers in Messiah. I'm a believer in Messiah, so I take them to the example of Messiah, right? Messiah said, before you could tell your brother to take the mote or speck out of their eye, take the mote or speck out of your own eye. You know what I'm saying? And also, another strategy is what is it? The Messiah. Give them the example of the Messiah that says Messiah only made himself available. He didn't beat nobody across the head and say, you got to believe in me, I got to save you. He made himself available, which means he put himself in the vicinity, and anyone who wanted to get some knowledge or understanding or some healing or some love, they came to him. You know what I mean? And they also did the work. And lastly, I'll say this. A lot of people are seeking to find a fight. They're not seeking for understanding. You know how the saying goes, like, whatever you're looking for, you're just going to find it. Even if you don't see it there, you're going to say you found it because that's what you were seeking for. A lot of people go looking for a fight. They look for justification because they have something in them that's hateful, divisive, and they're looking for something that says, oh, okay, well, these people calling themselves Israelites, these people crazy, these people stupid, these people divisive, these people abusive. Let me go find some other people who call themselves Israel and see if they're stupid, see if they're divisive, see if they're abusive. You know what I mean? So they're seeking a lot of times for a fight. Some people are not necessarily seeking to understand. So, you know, you meet people where they're at by listening to the spirit that they're coming in. And I just wanted to say that for now, but I yield the mic.
Oh, Sister Shanti dropping daggers. Oh, that's fire this evening. All right, so we have a lot to think about here. A lot to think about. We have a lot of people coming up against us, a lot of people coming up with conversations, and I think what I'm hearing is that not every conversation is worth having. Sister Only Love, what are your thoughts?
Shalom, everyone. So I definitely think we need to change some of our rules of engagement, and we need to take responsibility for some of the negative thoughts people have about us. But I also want to switch gears because every faith community has their shortcomings, and I do faith-based organizing and work with like hundreds of houses of faith, and you would just be shocked at, you know, the lack of reaching out that many suffer with, the scandals. Every religious system that I've seen oppresses women. And I think sometimes as so-called black people, we have to be mindful that we're not more harshly judging something that comes from us, but then giving grace to things that come from outside of us, or anytime something seeks to let us know who we positively are, we see that as a threat. This must be a cult. This must be lies. but, people have been coming into our communities for years bringing false teachings. And, sometimes we even turn over our children to them. Growing up in Brooklyn, a white evangelical ministry would come and, play games with the kids and give us candy and stuff like that. And there wasn't really a lot of alarm from the adults around us. So, yes, we need to change our rules of engagement, and some of us need to start engaging. There's a lot of positive Hebrews out there that are, really not sharing what they believe, not reaching out to friends and family, not going. There is a time when you should be going out and maybe praying for people, preaching to people. But I also want to caution, so-called Black people that are hearing this truth for the first time. Don't only go on what pops up the first time you search on Google, but go, if a friend or family is telling you about this, visit a community they're connected to. Listen to a video that they show you, but also we have to examine our heart for internalized depression, because a lot of times if it comes from a so-called Black person, we want to make them give 10 pages of citations and a whole doctorate proving that it's true, but when it comes to people outside of our community, we just open the doors wide. And so I do think we can change our rules of engagement, but for those who are wondering about the truth, you might need to change how your mind is engaging information that come from other brothers and sisters.
Okay, absolutely. Malakah, I'm sorry. I don't want to skip Malakah. Malakah, what are your thoughts? We have a lot of things going on in the community, a lot of people that want to talk to us, a lot of things that are being seen by outsiders and not necessarily with any type of context. And so a lot of questions are going unanswered. And it's our men on the street that are sort of the face of Israel, and so we have pretty bad PR out there. And I don't want us to feel like we need to limit the conversation to the outsiders that are looking in, or even to those who are doing the performance of being an Israelite in the street. But instead, no, there are things within the community, and I know we have a whole playlist of all the many ways that we have picked that, the way we do that, but we don't want it to seem like, we're just, talking about the outsider and talking about how we're being perceived. We do have internal issues, a lot of internal issues, which is why we have our sister show, The Relationship Challenge, because we acknowledge that and we try to engage the men and invite them into these conversations so we can clear up a lot of these bad doctrines, a lot of this disinformation, a lot of the disconnect between the masculine and the feminine principle that is happening here. A lot of things that they're running into on social media is the men critiquing the woman. And so there are a lot of women who are saying, and I think it was Only Love that pointed out, that it looks as if there's this kind of dislike for even our own women, and that puts a target on our back when we leave these spaces. We think that we're in our community, but our community is not in a bubble. We have daughters that go to public school. We have daughters that have to walk the streets, and if the men are out there saying, we don't protect our women, we don't like them either, then what makes them a protected space when they leave? And I think that these types of things are not being thought about. We understand that you're a man and, you speak with your outside voice and you got hair on your chest, mazel tov, but you have women and children behind you, and you're basically declaring to the world, we don't protect them. And that is not Torah. That is not our community. And there needs to be a conversation about how we are engaging. I understand. I used to, and I'm going to go to Malakah, but I'm going to give you this thought first. So I'll put me on a timer too. I promise not to go over my 5 minutes. But I remember when I was very, 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 very early on, back in the 90s, when I felt that I needed to give an answer for why the men in the street were as aggressive and sometimes as vulgar as they were. And I remember rationalizing that it's because they are our military. And they're in this mind frame of we're at war. And because they are thinking our people are dying, and this is not a time to speak softly, and so they're angry. and they have a sense of urgency, and you're out there doing that. You don't expect for, if you're thinking about it in terms of the government, you don't expect for our military to give you soft words. Our military are there when it's time for war. You go to our diplomats when you want to have a different type of conversation, but the military is going to have a very specific vibration. And so the street evangelists, the street soldiers, the street camps are coming in that spirit. I used to feel like I needed to say that to people, and I did for a very long time. But the fact is that irrespective of the fact that we are at war, the fact that we're not at war with each other, the conversation you have very often that we see on these recordings is not about the threat without. It's about how can I oppress and be disrespectful to the woman in my house? And it's just like, that's not necessary. And it's video after video after video about that. And then there's a lot of bad information, like just bad information, bad doctrine, a lot of things being repeated. Like there's still things from the 90s that are being said here in 2017. It's like you didn't get the memo that wasn't right. And so, and I'm going to close with this. When I say that because, for example, anyone that's been following us knows that Moon and I study quite a bit. So if I find something or I'm going to find something, we chop it up in the green room before you guys ever hear it. It's like, I found this. What do you think? Neither one of us are going to get really excited about something and then run out half-cocked or prideful and say, we found something, we know everything, and then push it to the people. Because there's an accountability. These are souls, these are lives, and very often we're very conscious of, we're very cognizant of the fact that people are listening to us and trusting us because we're saying that we're Yisrael, that we are the mothers, the daughters, the sisters, the women, the wives, and the elders of the community, and that they are going to believe that we have their best interest in heart. So sometimes they're not going to check. We don't have a lot of fact checkers out there. We come from a space where if people are charismatic enough, the other people will follow. Some people are the speakers. Some people are followers. We have, and not for nothing, but a lot of us come out of the church, or that's the church's strategy. There's a call and response in the church. There's those that are charismatic speakers, and then there are those that respond to it. And because Amuna and I, because we're very aware of that, I'll run everything past 5 different people first, usually Amuna first, and then make sure that what I'm saying checks out. And then what that means is that Amuna go through all of her books, I'll go through all of my books, we'll get into the Torah and see if it lines up. And then we go on the air, we go into our social media spaces, and we have a conversation, but not before. And I don't see a lot of that. I see a lot of the men or the people who are in these spaces of communicating the word to others saying, don't check me. Don't ask me anything. I know what I'm doing, and if you don't agree with me, you're just wrong. And that's why we're not moving. We're not allowing for checks and balances. We're not allowing for accountability. Thank you, Sal. We like authority, and we don't like accountability. So with that, I'll yield the floor. And I'll yield the floor to Malakah. Malakah, what are your thoughts?
Well, all praises to the Most High. I really am enjoying this conversation and everything that I've heard. Shalom to the Imams. If I haven't publicly acknowledged your presence, please forgive me. It's not my heart to do that. Shalom, shalom. What I would say is, everything that you said, I experienced when coming into this walk, a feeling of genuine hatred being directed at women sometimes, and it was a bit disheartening to me. As a matter of fact, the way that I found you and Sister Muna was because I was looking for something to address that issue that I was seeing over and over again. And so I thought you ladies, really taking those conversations on, and it really drew me in. And so having said that, I'm going to say that one of the things I've learned in my life, and most recently I have fully embraced the idea that I don't spend a lot of time talking to people who are committed to misunderstanding me. If you have shown me that there's nothing that I can say to you to get you to actually open up and really have a real conversation with me, then I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time talking. And so, there's some situations where you can't have the conversation verbally with the person. You know, you got to show them better than you can tell them. And so that's what I mean when I say we have to take our own narrative. We have to take our narrative on. If the voices that people are hearing are voices that are drawing a negative conclusion about who we are, then we have to make some other voices be louder than that. But we have to create a different reality. I like what Only Love said. She said, you know, some people just really aren't engaging. And I think that's a big point. That's a very major point, is that there are those of us who are, you know, Hebrews, who are living our lives and we're going about our business and we're not really engaging with people. Change the narrative about who we are if we're isolating ourselves and people don't know who we are. They're just seeing this version over here. So we have to show them something else to look at, so that when they're seeing that picture, they're looking at us and saying, well, wait a minute, because I know these folks over here, they're not like that. So obviously everybody can't be like that, you know, and we change the dialogue. So I have a couple of suggestions on strategies real quick. One of the things that I'm really trying to do and trying to manifest in my life is create a space of sisterhood that is so strong that it shines and people see it and are drawn to it. You know, I'm trying to create a space where women feel appreciated, loved, and encouraged and edified, and so that when babies come into this walk, they're drawn to that feeling of warmth, belonging, and acceptance. And so then there's opportunity for them to find mothers, you know, find imams in the midst of that, who can actually teach them and guide them into, you know, a fuller manifestation of their identity as a Hebrew. I can't do that with me. My prayer is that the brothers would begin to embrace brotherhood in a deeper way, embrace it in a way where they're actually holding each other accountable for change and growth, because that's what we as sisters are doing, holding each other accountable for change and growth, and for, you know, presenting ourselves in a way that's pleasing to the Father when we walk through this. One strategy, you know, really focusing on the people who are listening to you and the people who are trying to misunderstand you on purpose, not really spending a lot of time with them. Building the sisterhood, building the brotherhood, so that others are drawn to it and see the love. You know, the scripture says that they will know God's people by the love they show one for another. So we don't have to keep screaming, I'm Israel. We just need to love each other real good, you know. Then the other thing I would say as a strategy is the children. I was reading some scripture in Deuteronomy recently. I think it's about the 32nd chapter, where it talks about before they're going into the promised land, and Moshe has given his last words to the people. And there was something that really jumped out at me, and it was that the children hadn't been circumcised, nor had they had not celebrated a Pesach. So before they could go into the land, they had to circumcise this new generation of young men. And so that really jumped out at me like, whoa, you know, somebody's got to teach the children. You know, are we teaching our children so that, you know, the scripture in Proverbs says that children are like arrows, and blessed is he who has a quiver full. And then it goes on to say, and those children will speak with their enemy in the gate. So if we are raising our children in the knowledge of the word, and we're investing our time and our attention into them, you know, with the hope of perfecting them as arrows that can deal with the enemy in the gate, I think that's an excellent strategy for us too. And not just the children that we birth out of our body, but the children, communities who don't have them. So I think that's kind of really the main points that I wanted to share, is that I don't argue with brothers who I feel are being disrespectful or who are seeking to misunderstand where I'm coming from. I simply show them as much love and respect as I can, and I keep it moving. And what I do focus on is the relationships that I can build within the community so that people feel warmed, accepted, belonged, and they want to come in. And I focus on the children. So with that, I will say, pass the mic to the next speaker.
Okay, you made a lot of excellent points or strategies. are definitely ones that we could implement. We hear things like we have to be mindful of the children that are coming up behind us. And my daughter likes to say she's been Israel from the womb to the tomb. You know, I get a bit envious because I never got a chance to say that. You know, I came in at 17. She was born into the life. We have Ima saying that, you know, we have generations coming in. I know that this is one of the areas that Amuna is especially impassioned about and invest in quite a bit. You won't hear very many TRC conversations where we don't find a way to get back or hear Amuna say, well, what about the children and how we're going to deal with the children. And this thing about sisterhood, there is this kind of idea that the men get a totally different welcome package, and we talk about that quite a bit in this and many other spaces. We do have a caller waiting. So Amuna, after Amuna says what it is that she wants to say on this, we're going to go to the caller, and then we're going to go to the Imas and continue from there. Amuna, the mic is yours.
All righty then. If the caller's on the line, you could pass the caller through, and then I'll speak after that. That's no problem.
You see how my sisters do? Hallelujah. So go ahead and put them through. Our sister has yielded the floor.
All right, let's go to the family out there. Let's go to 97253. You're live in air.
Hello?
Shalom.
Yes, this is Sister Talia Levy from Israel calling in. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. Before I start, I just want to say, please forgive me for what I'm about to say, because we keep talking about that we got a problem. We talk about the rules of engagement, so we need to change our strategy. I respect everybody on this panel, so I know I don't have a lot of time, and I'm going to try to get this all out. Please bear with me, because I'm coming in the spirit of love. I'm coming in the spirit of what needs to be said according to the word of Yahweh. The answer has already been given to us. It's in the word. The Father would not leave us in this situation without directing us step by step on what the answer is as Israel coming out of our captivity. But what I find is that we are calling pride and arrogance faith, and we are calling courage and wisdom is nothing but foolishness and stubbornness in our people. And so we can come back to all the commandments, we can build our camps, and we can talk about how we need to unify and strategize to become Israelites to the world. But Yahweh has made it very clear on how that is going to happen. And he has said concerning us that live in the north country, Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, and if anyone refute that is not America, then I'm not even speaking to you. If you don't understand that this Babylon, America, is the daughter of Babylon, and the instructions that was given to us in that country, because I'm not there anymore, was very clear and direct, then we are negating the word of Yahweh. And that is, he told us to flee out of the land of the north and save yourself. Deliver yourself from the daughter of Babylon. This is not the time to engage. This is not the time to unify and buy plantation and try to build communities, because that's not what Yahweh told us to do. There's only one wilderness. I hear people teaching people a lie about the wait for the ships of Tarshish in Isaiah 60, and this prophecy is a lie. They are misreading into this prophecy. It does not talk about that prophecy has nothing to do with our return or our escape out of the north country. We are teaching people that Yahweh wants us to sit back and wait for Messiah to get us. He's going to gather us. Yes, he's going to gather us, but he told us how. By his fishers first, and then the hunters are coming. And I'm telling you that the hunters are coming. The hunters are coming in that country because America has to go down first. That is the daughter of Babylon. And when Babylon goes down, the mystery Babylon is going to raise its head in this country, Israel. And we need to come out into the wilderness. There's only one wilderness of the people. One wilderness. I hear people teaching people prep by land. When things go down, run into the mountains, stock up your food. This is a lie that is being taught to our people, and you're going to take our people to the slaughter. All of those that are teaching this are going to get our people slaughtered. We don't seem to understand what's going on in that country and what the government is ready for. concerning our people. And so I want to put this out there because Jeremiah says very clearly, flee every man out of the midst and deliver thy own soul. If you want to talk about the lost book, 2 Baruch 29, Ezra 9, 7 through 8, and 13 tells us very clearly that I'm going to protect the remnant only in the borders of this land. And when I say this land, I don't mean Israel as the state of Israel. I mean Israel proper, from the Nile to Euphrates. He told us where the safe place is. There's only one safe place. That is in Jordan. He told us in Daniel that Jordan is the only country that's going to escape the mark of the beast and the beast system. That's where he wants us to go. You want to build community? Come out of her, my people. Come out of her. Isaiah has told us very clearly that there's one iniquity in our people that's going to hold us back, and that is that we're looking for the counsel of ourselves. We did not ask Yah if he wants us to build communities in Babylon. We did not ask Yah if he wants us to be a light in Babylon. We did not ask Yah if we're supposed to be martyrs in Babylon. We are not supposed to be. He does not want us to die in Babylon. We are not clean and walking in the fullness of the Spirit while you're in Babylon. It's impossible. They're polluting us with everything, and everyone's walking around like they got faith, and you don't have faith if it's not according to what Yah said do. He said come out. He said come out. And all of the elders from 60 years ago to now are still teaching this lie to our people to stay there and wait. Y'all don't see what's coming. Y'all don't see what's coming. I teach a whole class breaking down the scriptures very clearly, step by step, the plan that he said, how to come out, where to go, how he's going to give us food and water, how he's going to protect. He laid it all out. That's the faith that we're supposed to be riding on, not your own. There is no engagement. You are underestimating that government. You're underestimating your enemies. He said that Babylon is not going down like Egypt. It's going down like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be a complete annihilation in that land. And there is no Goshen in Babylon. Separate yourselves and come out. That's a commandment. That's a commandment, my people. Come out of her. Y'all love Babylon. That's what I got to say.
That sounds like you think we should change our strategy. Thank you so much for calling in. Amuna, are you there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Pretty soon we're going to have to say shalom to Only Love, who can only be with us for another 10 minutes. So we're going to hear from Amuna. Amos, I know that I said that I would go to you after the call, but can we have final thoughts from Only Love as soon as Amuna finishes her thoughts? You guys okay with that?
Hey, that's it.
So there's so much, Amos. Amuna, the mic is yours.
And thank the caller. Thank you, Sister Taylor, for calling in and letting your voice be heard. You know, all of the information that's coming forth is very important. I really don't think it's competing. It's different levels of the same conversation. There's been people, there's been groups that have adhered to exactly what Sister Taylor is saying. But I'm the person who likes to look at everything. There's Israelites in Jordan right now. There's Israelites in Egypt. There's Israelites who said flee. But here's another aspect, if I would speak to what she just brought forth, which I think is very important, because there are some of us who are a little bit too lax here. There's some of us who are a little bit too relaxed. There's some of us who thinks that it's all good, and, you know, I'm not that person. You know what I'm saying? I've never been that person, but I say that to say we also have to take a look at the things that are important. It also shows when my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves. If Israel, wherever Israel goes, there they shall be. So if we as a people do not work through the things that we need to work through, then we're going to run to our own demise, anywho. Because if you're going to take the same mentality, the same indifferences, the same hatred, the same law-breaking spirit, the same pride, the same arrogance, and you're not doing the work, you're going to end up in another place, still a stranger in a foreign land, and bring the same mentality there. And you may not get to rock out, because all of us are not here in America. Some people are in the Caribbean. Some people are in South America. Everybody's not necessarily here. Some people are scattered through Europe. So I would say I do not dismiss what she said, because this is a real reality of what's going on around us when we're over here having our little conversations over here.
there are really big things happening that we definitely need to be aware of. But speaking of somebody who left the country, speaking of somebody who packed up everything and was like, I'm out. It's been 10 years since that time. I understand what she's saying, and there's definitely another side that we cannot underestimate, because your brother or your sister will be the same person who will try to sell you off. They will be the same person who will team up with others to try to do you in. So you definitely have to make sure you know what you know and do what it is you do and move with the Most High. So I wouldn't negate any part of this return process. Let me just say that. And wherever you are, work on what it is that you need to work on and move with the spirit of the Most High so that the Creator can guide you to where it is you need to be in safety. Because if we run in fear, then the Most High said, wherever you are, this is the curses in Deuteronomy. Like, wherever you are, the curses will chase you down and cleave onto you. You can't run. We can definitely get out of harm's way, but we can't run. We need to move in the spirit of the Most High. So that's what I would say. All praises to the Most High.
Hallelujah. That's what I'm talking about. Only love. Only love. There you go.
Shalom, everyone. I do have to sign off, but this is an important conversation. I have been to Israel and visited people who live there, but as Amuna said, there are also Hebrews scattered to the four corners of the earth. And when we think about rules of engagement, one thing that I know we cannot continue to do is to use being Hebrew as a way to excuse, to run away from being Black descent, African descent, whatever you want to call it, because there are many, many Hebrews still left in Africa. And if you want a bona fide way to prove that you are Hebrew and not just hearsay, Mayana talked about how her and Amuna research before they put things out there. I definitely think we need to do that more. You will have to research the Hebrew tribes in Africa and connect with them. And sadly, many Hebrews in Africa have been extremely hurt by the rhetoric they've heard from Hebrews in the West, whether that be America, Europe, calling everyone in Africa Hamite, a lot of colorist comments. I've heard mostly from African brothers that know they're Hebrew, who have this information, that they've been extremely hurt, thinking that they were going to meet brothers and sisters and being insulted. So I did want to leave that. One strategy we can't continue is to have everything be so focused on what is happening in the Western Hemisphere. One of the Hebrew groups I worked with in Ghana, the Sefway, their secretary is in a coma right now, Michael, and if you believe in prayer, I would say please pray for him. We have brothers and sisters all over Africa who are going through their own version of the curses, who want to connect, but who may not always have the means. And sadly, the white Jewish community reaches out to them more than we do. I wanted to leave that as my closing thought, that we need to change our strategy as it relates to brothers and sisters who are Hebrew in Africa. And with that, I wanted to just say that you will hear an important response to our previous Under the Palm show about are we sacrificing our children to Moloch, from Brother Richmond Odeba Osei from Kumasi, Ghana. He shows that our movement as Hebrews is not just in America. He's of the Ashanti tribe of Ghana, whose oral history say they migrated from Israel. He lives in Kumasi, and he works with the royal family and also has royalty in his family, and he's an art dealer and entrepreneur, but in his free time as a single man, he volunteers with orphans. And so you'll be hearing a message from him, because I agree with the Muna. The number one strategy we need to change is how we deal with our children. And so I'll leave you with that intro. You'll hear that audio in a little while, and I would just say that we need to stay prayerful in everything that we do. Shalom and good night.
Shalom, Lila Tov, sis. Thank you for coming.
Lila Tov.
Thank you for having me.
If we don't have any other callers on the line, I would like to turn the mic over to Ima Naomi and then Ima Yehudi. You've been so patient listening to all of your daughters and your sons as they weighed in on this important conversation about, do we need to rethink our strategies, our rules of engagement worth revisiting? So with that, Imahot, I yield the floor.
Okay. Again, all praises to the Most High as always. I've heard such interesting things tonight. I've been thinking about this issue for some time, and I'm so glad to hear that other people are thinking about it as well, and that they're not just thinking about it, but they've actually changed their strategy and are trying to change strategy among other people. So I'm very glad to hear this. I've heard some very good advice tonight. I always keep myself open to learning, no matter how old I am or how long I've been in this way. I find that if I keep myself open to learning, that I will learn something. So, again, this has been a very interesting and much needed conversation as to how we go about conducting our business as Israelites. So I'm very glad to hear this, and I'm praying that some of these suggestions that I've heard, some of the strategies that I've heard will continue. All praise to the Most High. Malakah.
Hallelujah. Thank you for that. Ima Yehudi, what do you want to add to that?
Well, first of all, shalom, shalom, everyone. All praise to the Most High, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I agree with Ima Naomi. I've learned so much. I've said it before. I've hoped that it's implemented with us so we can go back wherever we come, our homes, and we can be that example. I don't have that much to say because it's a lot of agreement, a lot of food for thought, and a lot of deep thinking. And I commend you, sisters, for your research, for your endurance of continually to study, to give proper and strong information out there, and information that, like you said, Mayana, that a lot of us don't do the background. We don't check. So I appreciate being here. Thank you so much. And shalom, everyone. And I'll just relinquish the mic.
Toda, Ima. Toda for that. Ladies, we're exactly at the 10 o'clock hour, so we have a little more time on the air. If there's anything that anybody wants to say, I'm going to open the floor back. We're going to go back into rotation. Now, because we are at the 10 o'clock hour, soon we won't be on the air. And if you haven't already called that number, 319-527-6239, and pressed 1, we may not be able to get to you. So if you're out there and you have something to say, if you belong to the camps or if you belong to some of these outside looking in groups that you have questions, ask a Hebrew. We're on the line, we're on the air, and if you have questions, ask now, talk to us, not about us, and we're willing to have those kinds of conversations with you. That's why we have these platforms. That's why we show up every Monday to hold these community conversations. So I was letting me know that we do have a little bit of extra time before we go into the overtime portion. So we'll see how that works out. And so that works to the benefit of the audience. Please call in. And just if you're just now tuning in and you don't know what we're talking about, the topic for tonight is, I'll give you the direct title. I've been playing around with it. The exact title is Rules of Engagement. Do Israelites need to change their strategy? I'm going to go to Malakah. Malakah, what do you think? How are we doing?
I think that we are doing really well tonight with sharing some ideas about how strategies can be changed. And, I think that anytime you discuss an issue, there needs to be some action that's taken after the discussion. It's just like when you pray. There needs to be some action that's taken after you pray. And so my hope is that in some of the things that we've been talking about tonight, that those who are listening and we ourselves would leave this conversation and say, okay, I agree, we've got some bad PR going on out there, and there's some things that I can do to make that different. Am I living a life where no one around me even knows what I believe at all? And could my sharing possibly give them a different impression of what a Hebrew is like, or how they conduct themselves? Maybe that's a strategy that I could implement, is just being more present in the community in which I have to live right now. Am I spending the time that I need to spend in teaching and training my children so that my children have an answer when they are questioned about what they believe, and why they believe? There's several other strategies that were mentioned. That Sister Only Love mentioned some things about how we engage with Hebrews in other places on the African continent, to be specific. So I think the key is, from my perspective, the key is we have to override the current narrative with a new narrative, and the only way we can do that is by taking action, by engaging in ways that we want to be seen. And I was really intrigued by, what the sister who called from Israel was saying. When I first came into this walk, I was like hysterically looking for a way to run from this continent because I saw the handwriting on the wall, I saw the handwriting on the wall, and I thought to myself, I need to get out of here, and how can I get out of here? And I really felt, through prayer, very stilled about that, and I think it's important to, as Imuna said first, it's important to be sensitive to the Ruach and to move in accordance with the plan of the Most High for your life. Some of us may be called off this continent into the wilderness experience. Some of us may be called to be martyred. Nobody wants to hear that, but hey, that could happen. It's happened before. Every person isn't necessarily going to go into that wilderness experience. It's whatever Yahuwah wills, what Yah wills. And so we've got to do what we can with what we have, where we are, until he moves us to a different place by his leading. And so in the meantime, these strategies that we can implement, we need to be doing those things. I have a friend that always says, don't just talk about it, be about it. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and yield the mic.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So we have people out there saying, okay, well, I don't have a channel. I don't have a platform. I'm not the host of any segments on Debate Talk for You. What do I do? How do I do that? How do I talk to my family who doesn't understand me? How do I communicate with my spouse who thinks that I have gone completely insane? What do I do? How do I reach people in my own little corner of the world? And I'll say this. To me, whenever I go outside, I live in Brooklyn also. When I come outside, I can be at the subway station or the subway restaurant, or sitting in Starbucks, and the Most High, or at the library. It happens to me at the library the most. And someone will come and just talk to me. The Most High will send people to you. Just because there was another sister who said it. It's your life is your testimony. There's an aura about you. Something about you changes. I'm usually surrounded by a bunch of books, and so someone is usually quite curious about me and will strike up a conversation about what I'm reading or what I'm doing or why do I have ZCs or why is my hair wrapped that way. Usually it's, are you Muslim? And I guess it's because Muslims have more. They're an older. They're a religion, but they're older, and so they ask questions. And so the Most High will give an opportunity. And when he does, you have to be prepared, because people come with questions. And if you do not have the answers, if you're not studying, then those people walk away not really sure what to make of you and not really having an opportunity to think differently, but just talking to one person. I mean, we see the brothers and they're talking to everybody, and you're like, wow, they're really doing all of the work. But
It's what you do in your quiet moments. It's what you do in your day to day. It's what you communicate to the children, your cousins, your family, your nephews, your children. You're doing work when you are in those spaces, and we have a tendency to diminish those one-on-one interactions in favor of these larger platforms, the things that come with the glitz and the glamour and the microphones and the costume changes and the like. When just being in your space and speaking to someone else and being able to communicate who you are, why you do what you do, and who the culture and understanding the culture. And it's that. The people really, really respond to information. It's when they feel like they can hem you up and get you into your gotcha moments that there's all of these conflicts. Another thing that we can do, and this is a strategy that is very easy to do. If someone asks a question and you don't know, just say you don't know. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to go look into that. Let's research it together. It's because we come out with this kind of hubris, this arrogance, this idea that if we can't get caught slipping, we have to know everything. And what I tend to emphasize is that, and I'm going to say it right now on the air, we as Israel, all of us Israelites, we are not a perfect people. We serve a perfect power. I'm going to say that to the family listening, the family on the panel, and I'm going to say that to all of the critics out there saying, but you guys aren't what you say. We're not a perfect people. If you have ever read the book, we've never been a perfect people. We serve a perfect power. So to go around picking and nitpicking at what we have and what we don't have, what we can prove, what we cannot prove, and checking our credentials every 3.5 seconds. Check it out. We are an imperfect people. We serve a perfect power. With that, I will give the floor to Ashanti and then to Amuna. Ashanti, the floor is yours.
Shalom. I'm back. I'm appreciating what everyone is saying. To the Imams and Sister Only Love, thank you for your input, and Sister Malakah and Muna, that was fire. And Sister Mariana. I want to start off by addressing your last point. I'm going to go somewhere with this. I got 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, we got the little timer on you, so.
You're right. We're not a perfect people. We do serve a perfect Elohim. And the thing is, once we're focusing on our relationship with the Most High and focusing on what we need to do for ourselves to be the creations that the power created us to be, we won't have time to go around what I call head hunting. Okay, I have to use this example for people like me. I believe in the Messiah, but I believe in the Messiah that he didn't teach anything against what the Father said. He didn't go around head hunting. He didn't have that Pharisaic attitude. The Pharisees went around nitpicking and tried to, take the Messiah off his square. I like to say it like that. But if we come in the attitude of the fruit of the Spirit, then we're supposed to put our attitude in the attitude of the Most High. You know what I mean? If we're looking at our behavior, and if our behavior doesn't line up with the Most High or His Son, for those who believe in His Son, then we it's up to us to examine ourselves. I want to say, Israel has been an imperfect people. We've been divided. After Solomon got influenced to go to idol worship, we got divided, to the tribe of Israel and the tribe of Yehuda. But I believe in the scripture that these dry bones can live. I believe in the stick of Yehuda and the stick of Israel coming back together. I believe in the restoration of all things. That's what this is. This is a love story. This is the restoration of all things, okay? And the thing is, we can get restored. We are a people who come from dysfunction, okay? Even before there was anything known of as Israel, we had dysfunction from where we came out of. You know what I'm saying? We had dysfunction in our religious organizations that we came out of. And all of us haven't fully detoxed yet. You know what I'm saying? And we brought it over into this walk. Some of us brought it over into this walk. But the ones who are trying to get the healing and put out the healing bomb, go ahead and start sharing those people on social media more. Even though you might not have a YouTube or a Facebook, you go ahead and put those people out who are pitting Israel in a positive light. Be patient with us. You know what I'm saying? Be patient. There was a saying in church, be patient with me. The Most High is not through with me yet. If he's not through with you, he's not through with me. He's not through with none of us. You know what I mean? Our brothers are militant, but like you said, our brothers, their intentions are good. Be patient with our brothers because they are broken, they're dysfunction, they're coming from dysfunction, they have high expectations, things have been ripped from them from a societal standpoint, and yes, of course, they want to blame the woman, but they blame the woman because we're the closest to them, because we love them the most. So it's easier to do that. But anytime where there's war, the Father, if you realize, like in 2 Samuel 20, Judges chapter 4, the Father always used the woman to suddenly come in and help win the war, from Yael to the wise woman, And I like to say, for the people who do believe in Messiah, right? Shake the dust from your feet and keep it moving. That's in Matthew chapter 10. We're always going to have people calling us crazy, you know what I mean? But people who call us crazy don't understand, they're not at the understanding that we're at. And so if we encourage people to look inside of themselves and say, hey, you know what, if I'm working on me, if I'm examining me, if I'm trying to work on me, then I won't have time to go head hunting. You know what I'm saying? And I did want to address one thing, the sister, like America's Babylon. My question is, like, why is only America Babylon? Like, it could be any country that's Babylon, but not necessarily physically, but a certain type of mentality we're supposed to come out of. A certain type of bondage and stronghold we're supposed to come out of. Babylon is confusion. You know what I mean? We're supposed to come out of confusion, and this is what I want to say lastly. The Father scattered us to where we are now. Wherever we are, like you guys addressed, Israel is scattered to the four corners of the earth. But in Deuteronomy chapter 4, the Father says, if after we remember and we seek him diligently with all our heart, all our being, right, then he's going to have compassion because he's a compassionate Elohim. So that's my last thing I want to say. Have some compassion. We're working to get it right. Us sisters are out here striving with the Most High Yahweh Elohim for our brothers, okay, and our sisters. We're a loving people, and we're striving to get it right. And that's all I want to say. I yield. Hallelujah.
That's right. Hallelujah. That's right. What I'm hearing in pockets of these conversations here and there, the sisters are intimating and expressing to the listening audience and to each other the fact that we have been working diligently to build a sisterhood. There is a lot of bad information that if you do the quick Google search, you get a bad information about the women. But we do have an internal structure here where it's a safe space to ask questions. We have several groups. We have several articles. All of us are, when I say all of us, I'm talking about everybody on this panel, and I'm sure in other spaces I would encourage those sisters that are out there doing the work to get better information to women so that they can, from Scripture, be able to say, okay, well, I hear you when you say that, but this Scripture says this. Let's have a conversation and not feel intimidated by some of the vigor with which the men come with particular statements and ideas that they are saying come from Scripture. Again, I would have to agree with Ashanti that I don't believe that all of our men are coming from a malicious point of view, that they are repeating what they have been told, and there's a sense of empowerment where there was once disempowerment. And so this opportunity to reclaim masculinity in the space is embraced. It's fully taken advantage of, and you can hear it in the videos. It's this idea that you have been emasculated, you have been disenfranchised. You're probably with a very loud and abusive woman who doesn't allow you to have any thoughts or any reign in your home, and here are your options. And so the man hears that and wants to say, okay, look, well, here I get to be a man. Like in some spaces, they get their man card back. And that's very precious to a man who didn't feel as if he could be a man in his home without it. And so along with that comes some unfortunate baggage. And unless you as a woman know better, unless you as a woman are invested in the scripture, and you can still come to that man in the love that you married him in or began a relationship with him in, or you being his sister, whatever your position is with that man, if you are going to say that this is a relationship important to you, was that a bell or was that some other type of signal? I'll wrap it up either way. But we want to be very cognizant of the relationships that we're trying to sustain. And we want to have healthy, righteous, whole and holy relationships. And that really comes from being better informed, patient, and as Ashanti said, loving towards one another. We have a caller, so we're going to go to Amuna, and then we're going to go to that caller, and then we're going to go to the emails. So who's on the line?
All right, so let's go to the phone lines then. Let's go to 951-210. You're live on air.
Shalom. Hello.
Hey, Shalom. Welcome.
Hi, sisters. How are you doing? I want to start out saying my name is Linda or Marie J. Miller. I'm a new listener and a first-time caller.
Welcome.
And I want to say I love each and every one of you guys. Sisters, you guys just bring me life. I listen to you guys. And as far as the subject is, as far as changing strategy, what I see is it's exactly what you sisters are doing right now. With being able to communicate, with coming together, even though we all have different, ideas or different, understanding and stuff, all that you guys set aside to be able to come together, to be able to reach out to Israel. And I know there's a lot of brothers listening, a lot of sisters listening that are getting a whole new idea on how to operate with each other. I know I have, listening to you guys. I got to you guys through Sister Ashanti. I stalked her on Facebook and friend requested her. And she's been a blessing in my life because it started connecting me to you guys, and as far as, Israel, I've only been in it for about 3 years. And one of the biggest things that I've seen is the nitpicking, pants, no pants, things that, or rounders, flat earth, clones, just ridiculous stuff, and not, so much as in what we need to do or the instructions of the Most High or where he wants us to be, more of opinions and rules that don't even matter. The same things in my eyes, which the Messiah was talking about, when he said that you guys will swallow a camel and choke on a gnat, and that's a lot of what I've been seeing. And listening to you sisters, I see you guys, like Sister Amuna says, starting to unpack that. You guys have been unpacking that, and setting it out. So I think the change is really, the topic that you put out is actually something that you guys are actually beginning with this, platform.
Hallelujah. Thank you for that, sis. We appreciate you. Amuna, is there anything you want to say to our caller? She's giving high praise over there. We really appreciate you, caller. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, King, thanks to caller for calling in. Hallelujah. Torah for that, And shout out to Brother South for, a couple of years ago, extending the invitation to come into a space that he's already built. It was at that time very masculine oriented, and saying, hey, you could do something, and what do you want to do? And by extension, now we have a sister show that is showing, like the caller said, we have to rebuild and repair and heal the lines of communication. Sisters, brothers, now there's a man-up show where the brothers are speaking to the brothers, not arguing with the brothers, not doing all the things, speaking, conversing. This is a form of commerce. Our words are commerce. We're exchanging. We're bartering. Do you understand? It says, buy the truth and sell it not.
This is what it says in the Proverbs. So I say that to say, as the caller said, I agree with you. I would have to agree with you that this is something different. And for people to say that it doesn't exist, the best way that you can help us to continue in this space, because it's not to say, and we say it often, that we have nothing else to do on a Monday night. I ain't even going to front as y'all are talking, I'm over here crocheting. But, it's relaxing to the mind. But my point is, the show needs support. And the people on the show also need support in sharing the information. We have projects that are going on, because the truth of the matter is a lot of things need funding, and that's another area in which Israel is very leery in, where it is that. And I wanted to read shortly. Last Shabbat, sometimes I just listen to the Proverbs, right? I just listen. If you don't know, I love listening to the Proverbs. I don't know why, because there's just so many Proverbs. What is it? Over 3,000. So last Shabbat, I was listening to the Proverbs and they reading, and then another proverb hit me, right? And so I wanted to pull that one up for everyone, because there does come a time where talking is not enough. There's one that says, too much talking leads to sin, but this one particularly I wanted to look at, which is Mishlei Proverbs 14:23. And it says, in all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tend only to penury. And I looked up that, old King James English, what's that? And essentially, it's poverty. And one of the things that Israel is struggling with, and we're like, it's the curses, yes, but we have to understand what the curses are. Sometimes we mystify the curses and the blessings. And so we want to change our strategy and stop using the curses as a crutch in the same way the church used prosperity preaching as a way to justify the unjust gain that they're getting. Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to really analyze, what are these curses that we keep saying, and again, how does it relate to us? We are activating them through our behavior, our speech, our lack of decorum, our lack of respect, our lack of love, our lack of patience. We are activating the curses, and then at that point, they are perpetual. So there is a point, and I was saying it to Brother Sal and Sister Mana, that there's a point where I agree with the callers. What is the action plan? Doesn't necessarily have to be on the computer. But in your communities, if there's someone in your space that is saying, hey, I'm willing to provide this service, are we willing to support that? If you're complaining about your children being in spaces, and you say, hey, I'm willing to support you if you say you want to do this. We have qualified teachers and nurses and craftsmen, but are we willing to support them? The chances are no, and that goes back to how we feel about ourselves. So this goes back to the organic growth. Then it goes back to doing the work. Then it goes back to detox. You see how it's all connected? The reason why we're struggling when we come into these camp community spaces is because we haven't done the internal work. And just like the person on the outside of us, we're waiting. We be sitting there like, I'm just waiting for you to mess up so I can say that this is the reason I don't rock with Israel. We be sitting there in the cut like, check it out. And how do we push through? Sister Mayana and myself, we don't always agree. Sister Mayana, are you there?
Yeah, that's right.
I be like, Sister Mayana, I don't agree with that, son. But there's a level of respect. Hey, I don't agree with that. I'm not going to disrespect you. I had a conversation the other day. I said to the individual, I don't have to, and I have witnesses. I don't have to agree with you, but I'm not going to disrespect you. And this is when we reestablish these rules of engagement, of how it is, the moment that we don't like something, I'm going to attack you, your mama, and your dog. We have to begin to look at these things, examine these things, because they seem small, but how many people have gotten into a fight or verbal altercation because of what someone called them? This person called me this. This person called me that. And we feel what? We're taken aback by that, and from there, we no longer want to work with each other. So because we are so sensitive in these areas, we cannot underestimate self-work. We can't underestimate it. It's huge, especially because, and I was just waiting for you to give me the thing. I'll leave it at this. I was doing some work with Brother Philippe. He interviewed a doctor in, I think, in psychology. I'm going to share that link to put in the box because he gave some very pertinent information about his assessment of how we as melanated people interface with each other as opposed to other people groups. It's very interesting, and we're going to understand why relationships for us is so important. And I relinquish the mic.
Ken, that's right. Moon is laying it all out there for you. It's absolutely true. Moon and I chop it up. Like I said, we chop it up in a green room. There are times where she comes up with something like, I don't see that, but I hear you. And, I'll say something to her, oh, my God, I think you went a little far left on that one. And it just is so, like I said, we don't come out and just give the people just anything. And like I always say, I surround myself with people who don't agree with me because that way I have an opportunity to grow. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself because I'm surrounded by people who like, oh, I like the way you said that, Mayana. Oh, yay. And everybody's like, I don't need that. Right? So that's another reason why I am confounded by some of these organizations that surround themselves with yes men and yes women who don't think and aren't allowed to think, don't have permission to think and question. And that's pretty much the opposite of growing, especially for a returning people that have already been exposed to so much bad information. I want to say a high percentage of those that are with us now have come out of churches, have come out of mosques, have come out of whatever ideologies are out there because they have felt as if they weren't quite able to make sense of what they were being told, or from what they were studying and what they were hearing, these things didn't line up and they were missing something. And so they left that and they came to what we call the truth. And we call it the truth because ostensibly we're supposed to be interrogating the information and saying, okay, well, this all lines up, that this is the will of the Most High. This is not pulpit narrative. This is not personal agenda. This is not opinion. This is the will of the Most High. This is Torah. This is what the ancestors have put on wax for us because they have. I mean, how many of you have heard your parents say, I've made that mistake already. Everything you are about to do, I've already done. Our ancestors have already done it. Good, bad, and very, very bad. They've already done it. And they've put it on wax. So we see the consequences of the decisions that they made. And the spaces where they felt like they were too good, too proud, too advanced, too rich, too wealthy, and too successful to heed the will of the Most High, His prophets and His commandments. And we don't want to fall into those trappings again. I'm going to take this time now. It's coming on to 10:30 to give a shout-out to Sister Hulda, who wasn't able to make it around here due to her personal matters. But I want to remind everyone that Hulda Daweed will be in New York City this month. Let me get that date for you. She'll be here on November 12th. If you want to register for the conference, please go to www.herroyalroots.com/NYC and register today. If you do, you'll be able to get the digital copy of her book, A Wise Woman Builds Her House, and there will be a number of people there performing and speaking. One of the guest speakers will be our very own Only Love. So by all means, go over to that website, check it out, get your tickets, get your digital goodies, and call in and let us know what you thought. I'll be there. And I would love to see you there. There is a registration fee, but that includes the book, lunch, and materials. And I believe the time is 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., so plan for a day out with the sisters. So having given that little bit of love to our sister, I'm going to turn it back over to our ever-patient, ever-graceful Imas. Ima Yehudi, what are your thoughts? Ima Yehudi, are you still there? Am I still here? Hello, can I be heard?
Shalom. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm just going to step back, relinquish the mic, let you sisters and daughters talk. Shalom.
Well, we just love having you around. Don't worry about it one little bit. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Ima Yehudi, no, Ima Nahama, I was right. Ima Naami.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you just enjoying us too?
I am doing exactly that. I'm telling you, I've just heard such good stuff here, and I'm always so encouraged when I hear the younger generation, stepping up to the plate. It just warms my heart. I'm telling you, it gives me hope that things are going to really turn out all right. In fact, I know that they would because the Most High swore by Himself. But when I hear the proof in my lifetime, when I could hear it in my lifetime, when I hear intelligent, beautiful daughters and sons coming forth with such good information, I am just warmed and I'm just delighted.
Well, we have our emas here. Very often we're like, oh, we don't know what happened in the past. We start to make our imaginations go wild, and we manufacture and fabricate a past when we have living evidence. So I want to ask you and take total advantage of you being here. In your time observing and living this culture, have you seen a shift where more of the men are beginning to embrace the sisters publicly? I will not take away from the fact that there have always been men who were open and loving and affectionate. I won't take away. I have known many, many intelligent, giving, affectionate, healthy men who have fully recognize the virtue and value of the women. And I want to put that out there because we're doing a little bit of banging on the brothers that aren't expressing that. But I think it may be Ashanti that once said that, and I think I've seen it in many places on social media, where the men that are doing the work are just out there doing the work. They're not in front of any cameras. They're not doing costume changes. They're not yelling on street corners. They're just being good men. And so we don't get to see them very often, but they're there. So I guess my question to you is, are more of those men that are there becoming more visible, stepping out and doing the work of being open protectors, open defenders, open providers, and showing others that you can have loving relationships with your wife, and it doesn't make you a simp, that you can be affectionate and giving, and answer a question or two. You're not going to lose any of your man points if she asks you a question and you, answer it. So have you seen any of that kind of shift on the part of the men? Have you seen, and my second question is, have you seen women becoming more kind to one another? We have been hearing forever that there's no such thing as a sisterhood, that there's no such thing as women getting along. I get along better with men than I get along with women because women are so catty and so blah, blah, blah. So do we see a change in that? Do we see real sisterhood emerging, real sister and brotherhood emerging, real wife and husbandhood emerging, real family? Have you seen any of that, Ima?
Nami?
Go ahead, Nami.
Hey, yeah, I have. I'm a little encouraged by it. I still see some pockets. I know that we need improvement, but I always keep in mind that we are a people who are healing, and we have a lot of healing to do on both sides. But I have noticed that. I mean, maybe it's because I'm getting out more. I don't know. I'm serious about that. I do see that. And I'm encouraged by that because I don't think there's anything wrong with showing your wife some affection, with being demonstrating that kind of love so that your children pick up on it. And even in the places where they're not, where you don't, it may be some situations where they themselves don't have children, but children are watching these kinds of relationships. I know one of the things that encourages me when I see Chief of Chiefs and his wife, that have been together for so long and have a long-standing relationship, and he seems to be affectionate towards her and caring and loving. I'm telling you, I love that kind of stuff. I'm telling you. It really warms my heart. I do see more of it. I remember it used to be that, that militant thing. Even in the men who are militant, I notice that there is that loving spirit, and I'm just happy to see it. That's all.
I
Absolutely, yeah. It doesn't seem like the men really feel like they have permission to be openly affectionate, openly accommodating, openly, willing to be to protect and keep. The first instruction ever given to a man was husbandry, to protect it, to protect and to keep it, and there's not a lot of that going on as openly, and so it's really kind of hard to make the argument for it because what you see is what you see, and so I think my other question, and I'll pose this question to you as well, Ima Yehudi, about what you see about the way that sisterhood may or may not have been blossoming since the earlier years, and the way we are relating to one another as siblings and as spouses. But I think the other question that I have is that, and I'm trying to chase my thought because it's running faster than I can speak. But and that happens from time to time. The other thing that I wanted to ask, I'll ask you after you weigh in on those two questions about sisterhood and spousehood and any changes for the better that you have seen. There it is. Okay.
Well, Iman Naomi is more around the Israelite. Well, I'm more around non-Israelite on the community base, and she's very active in the community, which is commendable. And she makes me tired just listening to her things that she does. She gives me inspiration. But what I see in the community, yes, I got to give it to her. I see it here, just listening, that among the young people, there's more of a togetherness. I hear it right now of the sisterhood. Well, back then, like the sisters, when I was going to assemblies and this years ago, the sisters were so distant, and I'm quite sure it's still like that today. I can only go by the experience in the past and what I see now or what I hear. I hear more of older sisters, imams coming together. And I find that the younger sisters are being more respectful and trying to reach out to even sisters of all ages or women of all ages. So I do see a difference as far as the men is concerned. I can only go by the ones, even the ones beginning to acknowledge who they are, show a sense of respect to the women. And I'm not speaking about the ones who have titles or in Knesset, but ones who are just waking up. And I'm not talking about the ones on the street corner, but just waking up and realize, wait a minute, I'm a person of the book, or we're people of the book. So to that extent. But Naomi can give such a great, because since she's around the community, she's been there for years and years, she's had such a wealth of information. But I hope I can contribute if it's just a little corner. I appreciate it. Shalom.
Shalom. So I'm going to pose this question to everyone on the panel and to the listening audience. Again, if you're just now joining us, the name of today's show is Rules of Engagement. Do Israelites Need to Change Their Strategy? And this is being brought to you by Debate Talk for You, produced by Sal Showtime. If this conversation and any of the other conversations that you have heard on our platform, we have 9 shows under the Debate Talk for You brand. If it has been a blessing in your life in any way, if you appreciate the work, if you appreciate that whether you are part of the Hebrew community or you have questions, comments, or concerns about the Hebrew community, your voice, this is a space where your voice can be heard. Please, 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 don't be shy. Go ahead, send to our PayPal and send a gift of financial support to Debate Talk for You. Please use the email debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. Anything that you have on your heart to donate is appreciated. We love giving you this content. We love being able to hear your voice and to communicate with you, and we want to be able to do so for a very, very long time. So, again, if you want to donate to keep us on the air, even if it's so you can go to YouTube and give the ill thumbs down every time Amuna and I hit the mic, that's fine. But in order for you to hate on us, you really have to, you may have to donate. So, again, that is PayPal. You can go to debatetalkforyou@gmail.com and give whatever is on your heart to give. My question to everybody listening in on the panel,
Would you get
One
that?
other thing, we're doing a lot of banging on the brothers about how they're, how they're doing and what they're being, how they're being perceived and how we're being perceived. I think that one of the things that the brothers complain about is that the women have an issue with accepting some of this masculinity. We're saying that the men have been disenfranchised in these spaces and they don't get to have their man card. The women aren't always very receptive to that. So are we struggling? Is it because the men are beating it over our heads? Are the women just resisting because they want to resist? Is there some strategy that we really need to rethink? Are we too defensive when it comes to having order in our homes and listening to our men? Is there some strategy that we might need to rethink in those areas? I open the floor to everyone, but I'm going to start with Amuna. Mona, what are your thoughts?
I'm sorry. Can you restate the last part of the question, please?
Sure. I was wondering if maybe there was room for the women, for the feminine principles, to do a little introspection when it comes to how we relate to the men. We have acknowledged that the men have suffered an injury in this space where they are not allowed to be men. They're not allowed, they don't have permission to be affectionate. There's all these injuries in terms of their masculinity, and so they gravitate to this space that sometimes is very negative and just causes further injury. Is there anything that maybe we need to do in terms of how we accept some of these rules of order, these ideas? Are we too defensive? Is it that we're not receiving it because of the way the men are presenting it? Are there some strategies that we need to do? Is there some healing that needs to be done on our part? Should we communicate something to the men? I'm just trying to put that out there since, I'm sure the men are like, all the women have gotten together to talk about us. That's why we don't call in. That's why I can't stand it. That's why women shouldn't teach and the like. So just to be fair, is there some things that the women should be working on?
There's definitely, you're asking we need healing person. So there's always definitely something that we as individuals, both male and females, could do. But since you're speaking of women, I would say definitely there's something, many things that we need to do, which is assess our lives, our mentalities. If we're already in relationships, the mates that we attracted, because oftentimes we attracted mates that complemented our injuries, not necessarily our personalities. They complemented our injuries, our deficits, our needs. And as we begin to heal, or at least acknowledge those spaces, or whether or not they're maladaptive, whether or not we're using, our pain, our hurt as a crutch, when we begin to deal with it, you might not necessarily be able to change the other person, but you can change your perspective. Because I would say the other part of the woman taking responsibility for what she brings to the relationship is her also knowing that there is a line. Because as women, we tend to overcompensate. And so the other side of saying, these are the things that happen to him is that she's going to try to step over her line to go into his line. And as you would like to say, coddle him or baby him or try to, again, overcompensate. And this is also a danger. So it's to a degree where you can only help but so much. It's, for instance, and I'll keep it short. If it's monetary, we did shows about if he can't produce, should he have a wife? And people, you can go back and check the show. But the point is, if it comes, a part of a man's nature is to be able to provide. And so even though you're like, baby, I'm helping you, somewhere in his space, as he begins his journey, he's going to begin to, some, not all, resent her or feel indifferent. In the same way, I believe it's the Apocrypha speaks on a woman if she maintains her husband.
That's right.
So as we are going into these spaces and looking where the lines and the boundaries are, looking how we had to overcompensate in times past and starting to move things around, understand it's going to get a little uncomfortable. Understand if he's in a space and you want him to, you want to help him get to the space where he can be the head of the family, then you're going to have to probably sacrifice some things.
so that he can do that, so you can give him the motivation to say, I want to be able to do that for you, because a lot of our women have time and circumstance has pushed her to the point that she has to be like, forget it, I'll do it myself. You see, and when you say that to the masculine principle, he's like, all right, cool, you don't need me back, you got this, I'm good. You see? So what I'm saying is, yes, there are things that she can do to change, but understand, and for some it may not be feasible. Some people may be like, y'all bugging out. If I drop my hands, we going to be on the street. So we have to take society, we have to take economy, we have to take all of these things into consideration when we start to move these things around, knowing that we're still in this same space. It's not just going to be 1, 2, 3, zazam, it's all good. You know, you're not going to be Peg Bundy at home eating the bonbons. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You're going to have to, yeah. So, yes, definitely to close, yes, and yes, and yes.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. So this is what we're talking about here. When I say this is what we're talking about, this is what I like to hear. This is balance. This is balance. This is honesty. This is being honest about where we are. And what we like to do is we like to think that everything is in the heavens. And we act like everything is so far away from us that we don't know how to apply these things. And you have to go into ascension spaces and achieve nirvana in order to be able to do these very practical, very real things. And yes, there is a space for us to have a communication with each other and say, this is what I need from you, and this is what it looks like. And I always say that boundaries are feminine. We talk about femininity. Boundaries are feminine. For someone to be able to, or everybody and anything and everything, to be able to penetrate you, that is not feminine. That is defilement. And so it's good to have boundaries. It's good to be able to say, okay, you know, these are the limits. These are my limits. And for you, and they're not just limiting other people, but for you to understand your limitations and say, you know what, I can't do everything. I can't do everything. I was one of the articles that, one of the many unfinished, unpublished articles that I have in the canon, one of them was looking at this idea of the superwoman. And I was looking to make all of the parallels. And, you know, what was interesting is that there is no superwoman. We use it as superwoman. Oh, it's a superwoman, and the melanated woman is a superwoman. But, you know, there is no such thing as superwoman in any of the Marvel comics or whatever it is. That's DC, right? DC Comics. I don't know. I'm an X-Man kind of person. But anyway, the fact is there was never a superwoman. It was Supergirl. It is a complete fiction. It's a complete fiction. We are embracing mythologies that just don't exist. We have 12 minutes before we go off the air into the overtime portion of the show, and I believe we have a caller. So I'm going to stop talking and go to the phone line. Sal, could you patch in our next caller?
All right, before we bring the next call in, just letting y'all know, if you didn't know, once the time runs out, the only way you can hear the rest of the show live is by calling in. Again, that number is 319-527-6239, so make sure you call in before the time runs out. If you're listening on social media, if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, again, once that time runs out, the only way you can hear the rest of the show live in the overtime portion of the show is by calling in. So feel free to call in before the time runs out. Let's go to the next caller, though. 951-210, you're live on air.
Hey, Shalom, sisters. This is Marie J. Miller again.
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you for letting me speak again. I found it very interesting when you were talking about or asked, do women have room to improve? And I would feel yes, definitely so. I do believe what Sister Ramona was saying is we need to heal. We have a whole lot of healing to do as well, because not only have we had to deal with the same issues as the masculine, side of us, we've had to deal with our own, attacking us as well. So we're very reactive. We're very reactive. As soon as we hear something, see something, smell something that doesn't feel right, we pounce. We've gotten to this place where we don't listen to a person. We don't see our brothers. We don't hear our brothers. We're just waiting, just like, people who troll on the internet, just looking for somebody to say and do the wrong thing before we pounce. And that's something that we need to dial back on, I think, as sisters. Pay attention. if you're with somebody or if you're thinking about being with somebody, pay attention. Just because you might hear something that might be a trigger, that might trigger you, it could be just you that feels that way. Pay attention. If somebody's moving in a way where you see that they're not trying to hurt you, they're not trying to do anything wrong, they're trying to communicate with you, don't let one or two things send you over the edge. And you know, with us as women, when we go over the edge, we will cut you up. We need to learn to dial back on that. As soon as we hear submit, we go way, way overboard to where, wait a minute, you want me to be your slave? You want me to submit? Well, we're not used to doing that. We're used to being hurt continually, so we do have a hard time with submitting to our husbands as far as the order of a relationship, not in bondage, not in servitude or anything like that, but we do have problems with key words that make us, go over the deep end, and I think that that's some work as women that we can, try to, just pay attention to somebody. Deal with people on an individual basis and pay attention. And you will see their intentions. The true person and the truth is always going to come out. So that's it. That's all I have to say about that subject.
I agree. Thank you for calling in. One of the things that we can do as women is if we don't know, as you said, don't react. Spend a little time with the information. Find out if there's merit in what's being said. And if you don't know, ask somebody. Because the other mythology is there are no sisters, which is a great thing about Under the Palm Hebrew Women Speak is that there are 7 people here now. If I count myself, we have 7 women on this platform. We have elders, we have authors, we have activists, we have women who are in the trenches, actively reaching out, actively researching, actively studying, and actively living this truth. So if you've been in the truth a month, 2 months, you spend 15 minutes on the internet, you got 3 years in the truth, 10 years in the truth, and you don't know. There's a lot of things I didn't know, right away. I've been in the truth, and studying the culture over 25 years, about 25 years. And I still don't know everything. You won't hear me saying that I can come and tell you everything about every camp. Every other day there's a new one. I couldn't tell you what everybody does in all of those places. I don't know. But if you ask me about this Torah, then, we can talk. We can have a conversation. If somebody says something to you and says that the Most High said it, just go to the book and see if the Most High said it before you get into reacting about the fact that someone told you, someone said, So I think that one of the things that, for me, one of the ways that women could kind of defuse a lot of these situations, if we can de-escalate a lot of these tensions, if we just spend some time studying, building our own Israelite identities. Very often we want to blame the man for our lack of identity, blame the man because we don't know what's coming down the pipeline, blame the man because he's keeping knowledge from us. But the book is kind of like right there, and we could study. And we tend to say that we tend to think the knowledge only exists in one place. If he doesn't teach it to me, I'll never learn. I've heard women consistently say, "Oh, I can't wait until I get married so that I have a man that can teach me." Okay, lady, if you don't know what's going on before you meet that man, you cannot go into a house being anybody's husband knowing absolutely nothing about what you're supposed to do when you get there. And then wonder why he doesn't value you, doesn't respect you. You said you don't have anything when you walk through the door. And then when he leaves, or if he leaves and tells you to leave, you again have no identity because you have attached everything to that man. So that goes back to what Amuna was saying. What are we attracting to ourselves? What are we calling unto ourselves? If we are looking, first of all, if we come here looking for a man, you're gonna get what you came for, and then complain about it. If you come here looking to be closer to the Most High, to build a sustainable family, then you'll get that. And so we really have to be very much aware of what it is that we come into this walk with. Intentionality is more important than we are giving credence to. It's extremely important. Intentionality is extremely important, not only for the other person, but for oneself. What is your intention? I think I posed the question. I'll end with this, and we'll go back to everyone for closing thoughts and check the phone lines once again before we get to the 11 o'clock hour. But one of the things that I posed to the women to get them to think about is: are you here to be an Israelite wife or the wife of an Israelite? And there is a difference. There's a difference. Obviously, if you can have an Israelite husband and be an Israelite wife, but if you're only here to have an Israelite husband and you're not concerned with being an Israelite woman, then you're going to have a missing piece of the puzzle every single time. Reach out to other people. Reach out to sisters. Have a foundation. Go into the wife stage, which is the 4th degree of womanhood, fully prepared. You have imams. You have sisters. We're out here. Ask questions. Google is not, that's not for you. Google is not your friend. I'm on record. This is Mayana Hasselfaret letting you know on record, Google is not your friend. Especially if you don't have the keywords. So we're going to go back around. We have no callers at this time. We're coming at the 11 with 3 minutes into the 11 o'clock hour. If you are just joining us, like for real, press 1, because in 3 minutes we won't be able to talk to you at all. And the topic for tonight is rules of engagement. Do Israelites need to change their strategies? You have been listening to Mayana Hasselfaret, Amuni Israel, Malakah, Shanti Dak, and, of course, Imahot, Yehudi, and Amis. I'm going to turn the floor over back to them because they have had fire all night. I'm going to give the mic right back to Shanti. I think that she's over there with something else to say. Shanti, what do you want to say to the people? We're almost at the 11 o'clock hour. What would you like to say to the people as we wind down?
Oh, man, shalom and all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Hopefully everyone listening in and called in is certainly edified. And I thank all the callers who called in so far. I want to thank Sister Marie for calling in. So thank y'all for showing love to her as she's friending you guys on the social media. But to answer your question, I want to answer your question, Mayana. You said, do women have an issue accepting masculinity? Let me preface it by going here. I want to go here real quick to Jeremiah. I'm gonna answer it this way. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, it says, the heart is crooked above all and desperately sick. Who shall know it? Now, this is not an Israelite problem. It's not a Christian problem, because Christians, they call Christians, they were Israelites who believed in the Messiah, by the way, but it's not a Muslim problem. It's not a Buddhist or a Sikh problem. This is a human being heart problem. And here in America, we have this misconstrued idea of what it means to be a man or what it means to be masculine. We have this misconstrued idea about what it is to be a woman or what it is to be feminine. And, our men are told, be a man, don't cry, don't show no emotion. And they're taught this starting between the ages of 5 to 7. They're even told don't be jealous. But the Most High we serve says he's jealous in about 3-4 places, like Exodus 20. I know, right? Somewhere around Exodus 33 or 34, right? So this is what I want to say. We have to go back to the Most High's definitions of what it means to be a man and a woman. We have to go back to the Most High's definitions of what it means to be male and female. I want to answer your question also about are you seeking this walk to be in a relationship as far as marriage? Well, the perfect example of what to look for in a mate was set by the Most High Yahweh when the Most High Yahweh came and got us, our ancestors, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. That was pretty much, hey, I'm showing you I love you. I'm showing you I can take care of you. I'm showing you I respect you. I'm showing you that I love you. You know what I mean? I'm showing you that I'll nourish you. I'm showing you that I'll provide. I'll be your source. You know what I mean? Exodus chapter 7 through 13. But lastly, this is what I want to say about what I was prefacing, you know, with some of our men. We all have issues, all of us. But we need to go back and look at the Most High's definitions of what it means to be masculine and feminine, not from this westernized Greco-Roman adopted society has taught us. I want to say this, by the way. There's this documentary I picked up. Actually, it's on YouTube. There's a documentary called The Mask You Live In. The Mask You Live In. It's a play on the word masculine, right? I want to read to you. I actually purchased it on YouTube. It was worth the $10 that I paid for it. But I want to read to you what's inside the description box, and then I'll yield. It says, the mask you live in follows boys and young men as they struggle to stay true to themselves while negotiating America's limited definition of masculinity. Pressured by the media, peer groups, even the adults in their lives, our protagonists confront messages encouraging them to disconnect from their emotions, right? Because that's what they're taught. They're taught that being angry, bitter, and hurtful is the only thing to have, and they're taught that those are not emotions, right? They're taught to devalue authentic friendships. They're taught to objectify women and resolve conflicts through violence, right? And that's what is being taught to our young men starting from the ages of 5, 6, and 7 years old. So this surpasses any religious title that anybody wants to have on it. So it's a great movie or a great documentary worth watching. It's about an hour and a half. It looks at black boys, white boys, Hispanic boys. I mean, it crosses the class lines. So and us women, you know, we're getting better. We're getting better, too, in being patient with the brothers and being patient with the sisters. We all have work to do. So I just wanted to answer your question that way. It's called The Mask You Live In. There's also a documentary by the same people. It's called Misrepresentation, and it looks as excuse me. It also looks at how the media is taught the idea of what it means to be feminine over here in America. But this attitude extends beyond America. It's a human being heart problem, like I said. But with the Most High and seeking wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from the Most High, we can get it together. And I yield.
Hallelujah. We are now in the overtime portion of the show. So if you didn't get a chance to call in, won't be able to get you until next time. Monday, we will have another show. Our sister show will be airing at 8 p.m. East. That show is called The Relationship Challenge. Once again, that's hosted by Amuna Yisrael. We're talking a lot about how women contribute to the breakdown of communication and why some of those reasons come into play and how they play out. And so that reminds me, once again, that our sister Hulda is having a conference called A Wise Woman Builds Up Her House. So I'm anticipating a lot of great information coming out of that space on November 12th here in New York City. Go to herroyalroots.com. I think we can get Sal to go ahead and put it in. We do have a caller on the line. It's after 11, so if we can keep it brief, we can have that caller patched in, and we'll have everybody give their final thoughts after we hear from our caller. Caller, please, just to let you know, we're in the overtime portion of the show. We're winding down, so we want to hear your thoughts. Sal, you can go ahead and put it through.
All right, you're live on the air. 972-53. You're on the air.
Oh, this is me again, Talia Levy. I didn't think that I'd get through again, so I'll be very brief. Unfortunately, because I'm just a caller in, I can't get a lot of information that I would love to get out in scriptures to prove all what I'm saying. And I heard some comments behind what I said in the scripture to sort of negate and say what I said. And so what I offer is a situation where we can come and reason this ideology of this engagement or this coming out of Babylon, America in particular, and that this is not just a spiritual commandment, it's a physical one. That's all I got to say to that. Anyone that want to question me on the full doctrine, because like I said, when you're calling in, you can't teach the whole scripture in line upon line what this doctrine is about, negating the false doctrines, whether we should have fear. I say we ought to have fear, and I can tell you that the scripture tells us that he's going to do it with fear, because we won't come out with the Holy Spirit in comfort. The Holy Spirit cannot move you unless it testifies to you about what the Word has already said. The Holy Spirit is there to bring you into remembrance to all things that were said and written by the Word. So as people say that they're moving by the Holy Spirit, it has to be in accordance to what the Word has said to move. And so a lot of people say, well, everyone is not going to the wilderness. I say, unfortunately, that is incorrect. The Word says that my safety place, I will bring my remnant into the wilderness. That's where he's going to build his house. That's where Sion is. That's where the New Jerusalem is, in the wilderness. And so I would love to have an opportunity to go line upon line, scripture upon scripture, to prove all what the Word has already been told to us, spiritually, mentally, and physically, what the plan of engagement and action and reaction should be. That's what I have to say. If anyone wants to reach me, my number is 1-732-719-5780. I live in Israel, but that is an American number. You can reach me locally.
Thank you so much for that invitation. If you have any show ideas, please contact Debate Talk for You at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com, and we will review your proposal. As you know, today's conversation was about specifically the rules of engagement. Do Israelites need to change their strategy? And so, as you said, this was not the proper platform, and we didn't have the time to explore that particular doctrine. But if you would like to propose a conversation with myself or anyone else on the panel, please reach out to our producer, Sal Showtime, and use our email address to delineate your thoughts at, again, debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. We have another caller. Sal, you can go ahead and patch them through.
All right, let's go to 305-401. You're live in the air. 305-401. Hey, Shalom.
Kane, I just want to get the sister's number from Israel, and I'd definitely love to be on that forum to discuss what we just were mentioning and the fact of the return and how it will be done. So, as she said, using that, the Tanakh, using our history, that's what we can get into, and I'd love to have all of us come together on that and do that, definitely. And I definitely have enjoyed the forum this evening, and the Most High bless us and keep us all, and I'll talk to you later. Shalom, Nicole.
Shalom, shalom. If there's any portion of the show that the listening audience feels as if they've missed and would like to go back and review, please stand by for just a couple of hours, and you'll be able to hear this show and others by going to www.youtube.com/Debate Talk for You, where you will find Under the Palm, the Relationship Challenge, Man Up, and The Lion's Den, and so much more. Once again, the address to find our archive shows is www.youtube.com/Debate Talk for You. It sounds like we have a proposal. We'll look into that in the coming days when we get that email. So we're going to turn it back over. I don't think we have any more callers. So we're at 11:10. 10 minutes past the hour. We're winding down, getting ready for another day. So, Amona, are you there?
Indeed.
Sounds like we got a bit of a challenge there, sis. Do you have any closing thoughts, or you can respond to the caller?
Yeah, definitely. Look forward to the conversation as always. There's all different aspects that need to be brought out when we're having conversation. We have to look at history. We'll have to look at what has been done, what is being done, what has been said, what hasn't been said. You know, all of these things are something that, and shout out to Gavert Azalia who just called in. I hear you, sis. Looking at all these things, and it's not necessarily to negate, it's to put all of the things on the table. We're not reinventing the wheel or having an original thought in this space. You know, a lot of people have come to this space, and we have to be honest in looking at, okay, what are the things that they did? What are the pitfalls? What are the stumbling blocks? And how did it affect people? You know, and so, again, if that's a conversation that we would like to have, I look forward to the conversation as well. As it relates to this conversation, we're taking baby steps, and hopefully people step away from this space and understand that individually we need to elevate so that we can elevate collectively. If we're looking to press our neighbors to live up to the standard that we're projecting, and we're not putting that much pressure on ourselves and our own families to live up to that standard, then we're just, we're playing. You understand what I'm saying? And so that quote, perfection that we're looking for in others, we're not going to necessarily achieve perfection, but we should strive to make ourselves better. And by extension, those around us, I won't stop saying it because it's true. Those around us are going to want to strive because they see our striving. There's a place where words fail and actions speak louder. With that, I relinquish the mic for everybody. Have a blessed night.
King, thank you for that. We are coming to the end of today's segment. I'm going to request that the emails pray us out when we get to their portion of the show. I'll have the rest of our panel give their closing thoughts, and I think we're going to go to Malakah and then Ashanti. Malakah.
Still here. I think in closing, what I would like to say is it's important for us to do what we can where we are with what we have. Mm-hmm. In terms of engaging, it starts in our home. I think we all have heard that tonight, and we can agree on that it does start in our home. And I think I want to just maybe speak just real briefly about, as a woman, what can I do to better engage in my household with my husband or with my children. And what I'm going to say is it's important to manage your expectations of others and to manage your assumptions. Sometimes we assume that a person is intending harm with something that they say or something that they do, and we're making that assumption based on a trigger word or a trigger moment or something that kind of set us down a certain path of hostility, when in actuality, if we really thought about the overall history between ourselves and that husband, we know that he loves us, we know that he's there for us, we know that, he's our friend. Hopefully those are the situations that you would know in your relationship. But if we can know those things about our relationship, then perhaps we can practice self-control, and we can really try to seek to understand what the person is saying to us as opposed to just getting hostile immediately. And I think it's important to know yourself. You have to know yourself, and you can't know yourself if you don't spend time in introspection and time in prayer, so that the Most High can show you what's in your heart, show you who you are and how you behave. It's hard to engage with someone when you are so wounded, seeing other than your wound, like you hear everything through that wound or you see everything through that wound. A lot of us come into marriages and come into relationships not even liking men. I say that again. A lot of us come into marriages and relationships not liking men. We don't like them because they don't act like us. They don't think like us. They don't behave like us. Maybe I shouldn't say we don't like them. Maybe we're afraid of them. Somebody might feel triggered by me saying that, but I'm just trying to keep it real. We have to examine what's in our heart concerning men. Are we expecting them to be like women with, more muscles or something? Are we expecting them to communicate the same way we do? And when they don't, we're offended by that. So there is a place for masculinity and femininity to dwell in mutuality. But we have to examine ourselves first. What are my assumptions? Am I expecting my husband, who I knew when I married him, and I'm not saying my husband specifically, I'm just throwing this out as an example, if you married someone that you know didn't finish high school, you know that he is not the most ambitious brother on the planet. You marry him thinking that, you're going to change him, and then when he's behaving in a way that's just himself, now we have an expectation or, that we're unable to manage because of the fear, the pain, or whatever that we're feeling. So again, I'm going to say, if you're in a marriage right now and you feel disappointment, you feel bitterness, you feel anything that is a negative emotion, you have to start with your own introspection, looking at your own assumptions and your own expectations. Nobody is the solution to your unhappiness. You have to find out what it is that you need to be okay. Your husband should, be he should be a source of protection and provision and all these things, but mutually you should be a source of protection and provision for him as well. So if you're looking for somebody to rescue you from yourself, you're already entering into your relationship at a deficit. So I think my strategy would be, I would say, if you're having some issues in your marriage, you need to examine yourself, do some introspection, figure out what your expectations are, what your assumptions are, and where you might be able to adjust or be more realistic and something that the two of you can actually work with and work through. Now, I'm not saying this because, I read a book about it. I'm saying it because this is what happened to me coming to my marriage. I was a single mother for many, many years, single mother for 17 years, remarried because my first husband is deceased, remarried, and that first 2 or 3 years of our marriage was literally a war zone because I did not know how to manage my expectations and my assumptions of him, and I wanted him to do everything the way I did it, and that just wasn't even feasible because he's not me, and, he doesn't think like me. So I had to really step back and take a look at myself and figure out why is it when he says this word, I'm triggered into anger? Why is it when he has this, desire from me, I'm triggered into resentment? So I've got to look at that stuff, about what I need to do to change that stuff, and don't look at him so much during the process, but look at myself, because while I'm working on me, and I'm going to finish, while I'm working on me, I can put him in y'all's hands and ask y'all to work on him the way y'all want him to be, not what my agenda is. So having said that, I'm going to do it.
Wow, sis, thank you so much for that. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about transparency. We're talking about sincerity. We're talking about practicality. When our sisters are willing to be open and say, listen, I know your injury because it was my injury. And so, thank you so much for sharing that testimony, sis. I'm sure that must have resonated with many, many people, the sisters and the brothers alike. So, toda for that. Ashanti, is there anything you want to add? Any final thoughts?
Yeah. I want to say all praise to the Most High for what Sister Angela just spoke.
Hallelujah.
I tend to have that conversation with a lot of women. What she just said, my husband, he gives me these little grand nuggets and tidbits all the time of things individuals, males and females, need to work on. I counsel a lot of women. I don't want to be long, but I counsel a lot of women who are going through divorce, some in my own family. And what Sister Malakah said, it just rang true in my spirit. A lot of expectations and assumptions. We've been sold a lot of fairy tales over here, and we're trying to fill void. So, everything Sister Angela said, I ditto. But I want to say I'm here for the sisters. I've only been married for 11 years, but I've seen people get in relationships and get out of relationships in 2 years, 3 years tops. Some I know divorcing after 16 years and 20 years. So I'm here to talk with y'all. My name is Shanti Doc on Facebook. My email is duckandodge1@gmail.com.
please put that in the description box. Reach out to me, holler at me. Sister Angela got a prayer line going on every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm here. I'm here for my brothers too. I'll put you on the line with my other brothers, like Brother B.A., my brother David over here, even my husband. We invite people over here all the time to chop it up, play some pool, and that's how you start engaging with people to really start helping one another. So I hope everyone was edified. Thanks for the listener audience. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Mayana and Emuna, for Under the Palm. This sisterhood is awesome. I love it. The Iman. Thank you. Most High bless you and keep you. Peace to you. I yield.
Peace to you, dear. Hallelujah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mayani still with us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, well, hallelujah. What I'm hearing from the sisters and even from the caller is that oftentimes we are in our own way. And ultimately, the best strategy is to kind of just get out of the way. And, no matter what we're talking about. And so by going and depending upon Torah, by being honest about where we are, by assessing what needs to be assessed and just rolling with that. And that's what we need to do. And as I'm going to say, we're open to having respectful, calm conversations about anything. We understand that sometimes conversations can be energetic and feelings and passions and convictions run high. I'm not going to call everything emotional. I loathe when people do that. But convictions run high. And so, but the important thing is that at the end of the day that we understand and we agree that we're a family and we're supposed to be going towards the same goal of restoration, of rebuilding, of reclaiming, and righteousness and glorifying the Most High. The moment we think that this is about us and just about us and getting our points across, we have missed the mark. We have to seriously, as I started to recalculate. We need to seriously recalculate what we're here for, what we came in here to do. If it's about I need to get my points across and it's an issue, then that's the wrong thing. And so this platform and all the other platforms that we have here on Debate Talk for You encourage respectful dialogue. We're going to explore one another's positions, to explore how it lines up with Torah, and get out of the way of the will of the Most High so that His will be done. Just to remind everyone, Only Love gave a brilliant introduction for that brother from Ghana. And so at the end of this segment, which we're winding down, coming very quickly down to the end of the segment, those of you who hear us on YouTube will hear 13 minutes, the 13-minute recording from our brother from Ghana expressing his thoughts from our previous show, Are We Still Sacrificing Our Children to a Modern-Day Molech? So now I'm going to turn the floor to the Imahot. Ima Yehudi, will one of you please pray us out? Can you just let me know which one of you will elect to do that for us this evening?
Okay, Yehudi, what would you like to do?
You have the honors, my dear.
So it sounds like Ima Naami will pray us out?
Certainly,
yes,
not a problem.
Because you're going to pray us out, I'll go to Ima Yehudi first. Ima Naami, will you pray us out? Can you include a prayer for all the sisters that have to leave early, all the sisters and brothers that are listening in the audience, that the Most High work in their lives and put what needs to be there, and that those that are on the outside looking in, that the Most High works in their lives and heals whatever it is that is bringing them to this place and whatever contentions that they have with the children of the Most High. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we pray for those people that those of you who are coming to us with sincerity, we welcome you. Those who are coming to us with other intentions, we see you, we pray for you. So, even I just put that out there for you. Ima Yehudi, you can go ahead and take over the floor.
All I have to say is I'm so grateful to be on this line, and I will definitely be next Monday on the Relationship Challenge.
Wow.
I have a lot to say, but I'm gonna bow down humbly so, and let Naomi, Queen Naomi, lead us out in prayer. With all due respect, Shalom.
Okay.
Love you all.
I have no closing thoughts. My closing thoughts is that, I love you. I love my people. I love the Imahot. I'm so thrilled that we're here, and I have a great deal of expectation that we're going in a great direction. We're learning to study. We're learning about sincerity. We're learning about having authenticity in the way that we present ourselves, the way that we represent information, that we are fact-checking, that we are reaching out to one another. I heard many people say, it's more than just being in the street throwing scriptures at people and hurling the curses at people, that we have a space where we need to reach out to our poor, to our orphans, to our widows, to sit in the living rooms and counsel one another and on how to be good sisters and brothers, how to be good spouses to one another, how to be good mothers and good fathers, and to care for our children. We have very practical things that we need to do. And in all of these war zones, they're more the performance of the culture and not really the living of the culture. It's very that's all. When the cameras are off, I'm still watching. Most High is not tuning in. You don't know, it's not on the YouTube views, but the Most High is still watching. So we're here just doing the performance of Israel. We're completely missing the mark, and we're in our own way.
Yes.
I
yield
the floor.
Ami?
Yeah, before I go into the prayer, would you please give me the addresses again for fundraising? For if you want to donate, Bavakasha, and spell it out, Bavakasha.
Sure. To donate to Debate Talk for You, you just go to PayPal, whatever your preferred method of payment. PayPal has several options, and in the box for the recipients, just put in our email address. That's debate, DEBATE, talk, TALK, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail.com. And, of course, for your convenience, we will also include that in the description box right under this video. We appreciate everyone who has donated so far, everyone who will donate in the future. The Most High has put all of that into your hearts, and we truly, truly, truly appreciate you for it. Iman Ami, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to repeat that. And Sal, I'm sure will put that information in the box. We'll also have the links that Ashanti referred to. If Malakah would like us to put the information for her prayer line, we'll also put that there. And, of course, the link to her Royal Roots for the conference here in New York on November 12th. Also, we will include the link to Lit Bomb, which is an online magazine of sorts that is populated by Amuni Israel, and all of these articles on what's going on in the community having to do with scripture or other spaces. Not everything is necessarily about scripture, but everything is about community and healing on Lit Bomb, lit as in literature, bomb as in is there no bomb in Galilee.com. All of that will be in the description box. Hallelujah.
Toda Rabbah. Okay. First of all, I just want to thank you for honoring me again me and Yehudi, again, as the elders of this line, to even be in the company of our younger daughters and sisters and even those who are in our group. We just thank you so much for giving us a venue to express ourselves and to even learn. We come here for learning as well. So I may the Most High continue to bless you. May the contributions flow in, and keep you going, because we need spaces like this to be able to come forth and express ourselves and to learn and to grow stronger as women, as men, as a nation. So again, Toda Rabah.
Toda Rabah.
Everybody, let's get ready to give honor to the King.
Hallelujah.
Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam, Elohei Avatenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYisrael. Toda Rabah Yah lekol davarim tovim shalach lanu, v'tamshik v'akvashah habrakim lanu, ki anachnu amcha ze madua Yah. Yah atah mehader kol hazman, v'Toda Rabah le kayim, v'begadim, v'mazon, v'mishpachtim, v'kol amcha. Toda Rabah. Toda Rabah le ha anashim yakdad ya vetam shik habrakim lanu ya bavakushash tam shik harakum lanu ki ata yodeo anaknu loto ein ata. Yahweh, our King, the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Israel, we say thank you so much for all things and for everything. We thank you for our lives, our food, clothing, and shelter. We thank you for being able to come together as women, oh Yah, and we ask that you would continue that blessing to us. We ask that you would continue to give us all the good things that you do. We ask that you would continue to show us mercy and compassion. We ask that you would be with each and every sister and brother on this line, and you would be even with those who are not on this line, oh Yah. Please work in our lives, oh Yah, and work in their lives, oh Yah, to continue to strengthen us, to continue to unify us, to continue to put in us the determination and the wherewithal to do that which is right and good before thee, so that we will continue to find favor in thine eyes, and we will be favored among thee, O Yah, with thee, O Yah. We ask, O Yah, that you would be merciful to each and every one of us and our families, O Yah. Bless all the people that pertain unto us, O Yah. And even those who are not in this way, O Yah, who don't have this understanding, impart understanding to them, and impart obedience to them and to us, O Yah, so that we can continue in this walk, O Yah. Strengthen us where we are not strong, O Yah. Lift us up where we are fallen down, O Yah. And remember each and every one of us, O Yah. Remember those who are seeking thee, O Yah, and cause them to find thee through wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Impart in us, give us the heart, O Yah, the heart that you said you would give us. You would take out the stony heart and give us the heart of flesh, so that we might receive thy words, thy commandments, thy statutes, and thy laws into our hearts, O Yah. Cause us to be united as a people. Cause us to be united in sisterhood, O Yah. Let the sisterhood strengthen, for we know, O Yah, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And yet we don't want to be ruling over our brothers, O Yah. We only want to rule in righteousness, so that we will have righteous children and a righteous generation that comes behind us, O Yah. But give us that strength, O Yah. Give us that wherewithal. Give us that knowledge, that understanding, that we will be righteous women in Israel, O Yah. That we will help to uplift our nation and cause it to move forward. That we will be united with each other. That we will not be clawing at each other. We will not be unkind to each other. But we will remember to put the words of kindness in our mouth and in our deeds, O Yah. We ask that you would bless each and every one of our children and our grandchildren and those who are yet unborn, O Yah. We ask that you would continue to be with us and bless us and cause us to walk in righteousness, Yah, before thee. Let it be that wherever we would go and wherever we would set our foot, that it would be in righteousness, O Yah. Continue to protect us, please, O Yah, from the dangers and the evil and the pervasiveness of this society. And in the societies all over the world where you have scattered us, please, O Yah, protect us and protect our people. And we ask, O Yah, that you would continue your blessings and your mercy and your compassion and your loving kindness towards us as thy people. Again, O Yah, we give you the glory, the honor, the praise, all the goodness that is due to thy high, holy, and exalted name, knowing full well that our words are not enough to praise you in the praise that is due to you. But we ask, O Yah, that you will accept the offering of our lips and that you would cause us to stand before thee as a right people so that we may even be partially worthy of the blessings that you continue to shower upon us. Again, O Yah, we thank thee for all things and for everything and ask that your blessings continue not only to us who know thee, but those of our people who do not know thee, O Yah, so that we will truly be the light to the nations, so that we will truly turn their hearts and their minds towards worshiping you in rightness, O Yah, so that we will truly be the light of the world as thou hast even pronounced upon us. Again, O Yah, we thank thee for all things and for everything. We ask that you would bless again each and every sister who is on this line, each of those who are listening in, each and every brother, all of our people, O Yah, who support us in any way and who come to listen and gain knowledge and wisdom and understanding. We ask that you would continue to let them come, continue to let us impart the wisdom, and continue to let us dwell in sisterhood and brotherhood and in nationhood before thee.
Hallelujah.
We turn to thee once again, O Yah, to say, Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam, Elohei Avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak, Yisrael, who only doeth wondrous things, and may thy name be praised now and forevermore. Let us say, Hallelujah, Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Shalom. My name is Richmond Osei Entry, and I am from Ghana, Kumasi, and I am an Ashanti, and I can Hebrew. 100 years from now, it will not matter what kind of car that I drove or how much I had in my bank account, but the world may be a little better because I was important in the life of a child. Today, there are millions of disadvantaged orphans around the world, especially in Africa, who do not have the same opportunities as other children. Orphans are often deprived from clothing, good food, sufficient hair care, and a good education. Perhaps the greatest tragedy of all is their lack of education. When given the opportunity of going to school, these orphans could develop practical skills which could enable their community to break out this poverty circle or circle of poverty. When there is no love for a child to remember, then there's nothing for the child to remember than to hate. When he is growing or when he or she is growing, he will have this kind of hatred mind. I do not have a child of my own now, but I volunteer to help these orphans, to build in them in order for them to know who we are and where we are coming from. So let's donate, let's adopt, let's support, let's sacrifice, let's pray, let's do what that we can to build for them to continue when we are gone for a better generation. Also, when it comes to Hebrew churches in Africa, the Ghana that I know, Hebrew churches that our forefathers built can no longer be found. Only about 3, and I only know about 1 in a place called Sefi, in my country right here. Our forefathers, accounts are one of the lost tribe of Israel. During their journey, they came down and settled at the western part of Africa, and it was at the north. Due to time, I just have to make things short. Sorry. When they settled down at the north, they built 3 Hebrew churches at the north. After some years of settlement, they came these Arabs. And these are the people who captured Morocco, Sudan, Algeria, and the rest. These Arabs came with force to change the Hebrew true way of worship and wanted these Akan Hebrews to worship their gods, this Arab god. These Arabs were cavalry soldiers, and our forefathers couldn't fight with them. And also can't worship any other god except worshiping Yahweh. So they have to leave everything behind and find a new settlement or a new place to settle down. So they came to the southern part, and at the southern part was a very typical forest. These soldiers couldn't fight with their horses at the forest, so the southern became the permanent home for the Akans. Later on, there was a division among them, and they came the Ashanti tribe, the Infantry tribe, the Bro and Halfo, and the rest. This tribe built a whole lot of churches, a whole lot of Hebrew churches. Later on, there came this white. Everything was stolen by them, changed the mindset and our belief and our culture. But remember, it didn't take them a year or some few years, because they couldn't change the mind of our forefathers, but rather they changed the mind of our forefathers' children. So for us to know where we are from, then we have to start it from our children. Let's donate, as I said. Let's support, let's adopt, let's sacrifice, let's pray. Let's do what we can for our children in order for them to know that we are the true sons and daughters of Yahweh and where we are coming from. They used to say being in Africa is what because of poverty. So every African person wanna travel to the state or wanna be in Europe. And do you know something? The sad thing about this is when you wanna become like them, when you wanna be like the whites, then you have to let go of who you truly are. All these Hebrew churches have been abandoned, some destroyed, and all because they left and lived close to these whites, and afterwards their mind were polluted. I have found one of these abandoned Hebrew churches in an abandoned place in a village. I'll have it in mind, and I'll just find a way to see if I can rebuild it or if I can re-establish it. We need to rebuild through our children, born and the unborn. As I said, I don't have a child of my own yet, but I contribute much to orphans. To me, that is where I know rebuilding for our next generation is from. I'm searching for the loss and abandoned churches, and also supporting the orphans as well. So, as I said, let's donate, let's adopt, let's support, let's sacrifice, let's pray, let's do what we can for our children in order for them to continue when we are gone, for our future, for our generation become a brighter one.